No one can destroy this wooden dummy in under 10 strikes, because in this game, real-world physique and abilities directly affect in-game characters. Millions of players have tried their best, and even elite national athletes have failed this challenge. So now everyone believes it's nearly impossible to complete. Still, plenty of players want to try, because success grants a 50 million won exclusive game capsule and 5 points to all ability stats. Just then, the final challenger appears behind the crowd, the so-called strongest guy alive on Earth, who looks more like a monster than a human. Rumor has it he can kill a black bear with his bare hands. He gathers all his strength and throws a punch at the dummy. It gets knocked back but looks completely unharmed. Even the game developers are hoping he'll succeed, because if he fails, it'll definitely cause player dissatisfaction and flood them with negative feedback. Unfortunately, even this massive guy fails to break the wooden dummy and can only scream in rage. Then, a random guy from the crowd steps forward. He looks so plain and ordinary that no one believes he has a chance, especially with that cheap shop sword. Yet he slices the wooden dummy clean in half with a single strike, instantly completing the challenge. Even the developers are shocked. But then they notice something. The sword isn't ordinary at all. It's an epic-grade weapon called Radiant Light, and it's impossible to obtain a sword like this in the beginner area. So who the hell is he, and how did he get that sword? Well, his name is Hyun-Soo. He's the best blacksmith in the world, and he made that sword himself. A month before defeating the dummy, he went to meet his friend Kim Ji-han in a Seoul hospital lobby, the same place where his father has been lying in a coma for years. Kim Ji-han finds it hilarious that people are still clinging to the hope of breaking a wooden dummy. He knows that raw physical power isn't enough. Suddenly, Hyun-Soo crashes the party, annoyed about receiving a call during the day. Kim Ji-han explains he couldn't meet in the evening due to work. Our protagonist asks what he wants. Ji-han comments on Hyun-Soo's heavy clothes, asking if he isn't dying of heat. Our hero snaps back with a threat, making Kim Ji-han apologize instantly. Getting straight to the point, Kim Ji-han asks if Hyun-Soo knows about the game Ares. He explains it's the era's most famous game, powered by advanced AI. He tells him about a special beginner event where no one has succeeded yet. The prize? A VVIP gaming capsule worth 50 million won. Hyun-Soo asks what the point is when a billion others have failed, adding that he doesn't play games anyway. Kim Ji-han admits it's tough but insists it's not impossible. He believes that when it comes to breaking the wooden dummy, our boy is the only one with a shot. Kim Ji-han leads him to a room filled with gaming capsules. He reveals he bought a standard Ares capsule worth 10 million won specifically for his friend. Hyun-Soo freaks out at the cost. The friend argues it's a worthy investment, explaining that players can earn rewards and trade them for real currency. Kim Ji-han suggests they go inside. Our protagonist asks where he got the money for such an expensive capsule, but his friend brushes it aside, urging him to think about the potential earnings. Skeptical, Hyun-Soo asks if there's any guarantee of profit, calling the idea crazy. Kim Ji-han defends his plan, insisting our hero genuinely has a shot. Hyun-Soo demands to know where this confidence comes from. That's when Kim Ji-han spills the beans. The blacksmith class exists in Ares. He points out Hyun-Soo's true identity as the heir to a world-renowned master craftsman. He believes the wooden dummy is no match for our boy's skills. Our protagonist finally reveals the scar left by his accident. He tells Kim Ji-han he hasn't seen his true state since that tragedy. Hyun-Soo admits he's in no condition to try anything. Memories of the fire resurface. The accident took everything. He barely survived, but his father never regained consciousness, and the medical bills crushed the family. Forced into manual labor, Hyun-Soo spent 10 years following in his father's footsteps, but that life is over. He confesses that since the accident, his right arm has been useless. Basic labor is difficult, let alone blacksmithing. He assures Kim Ji-han he'll handle his own problems and demands the capsule be returned, calling his friend a fool for wasting money, before heading off to his part-time job. Kim Ji-han shouts after him, insisting our boy is the real fool. He asks how long Hyun-Soo can keep struggling with hospital bills. Ji-han asks if he intends to leave his body in that state forever, claiming the game could fix everything. He points out that the treatment costs nearly 3 billion won, but urges him not to give up. Swearing to take responsibility for the 10 million won, Kim Ji-han begs our protagonist to listen just once. The memory of the fire flashes through Hyun-Soo's mind. Later, at a construction site, he tries to concentrate but finds his thoughts muddled by Kim Ji-han's words. As he works, the sound of metal echoes in his heart, stirring deep nostalgia. Drawn by this feeling, our hero returns to the room with the game capsules. Convinced that the sound of metal led him there, and remembering Kim Ji-han's encouragement, Hyun-Soo decides to enter the game. He promises his father he'll hear that sound again. As soon as he logs in, system messages welcome him to Ares. He chooses the nickname Hyun-Soo. During customization, the system analyzes his body and notes the scar. It asks if he wants to keep this appearance. Our boy agrees. The process ends, and he enters the game world. Immediately, Hyun-Soo notices two crazy things. The scar on his face has vanished, and full strength has returned to his right hand. He resolves to work hard and repay the 10 million won debt. He is randomly summoned to the beginner's zone in the Barren region, arriving at Ren's blacksmith workshop. Inside, he finds an old blacksmith struggling with his work. The man declares he'll craft a sword superior to his opponent's, desperation marking every strike. Our protagonist interrupts, stating that the method isn't correct. The blacksmith, stunned, asks what he just said. Hyun-soo repeats himself, insisting that the approach is dead wrong. The blacksmith is stunned. He asks if his ears are playing tricks on him. Our protagonist repeats himself. The current method is flawed. Hyun-soo admits it's none of his business, but he couldn't just stand there and watch a craftsman fail so hard. Figuring he has nothing to lose, the blacksmith tosses him the hammer. He challenges our boy to put his money where his mouth is, warning that he'll be watching like a hawk. This works perfectly for Hyun-soo, who intended to ask for the workshop anyway. He sets one condition. If he proves his ability, he keeps the sword he crafts. In return, he promises to show the old man something truly worth seeing. The blacksmith calls him arrogant but admits he likes the kid's guts. However, he warns there will be a steep price for failure. Hyun-soo agrees. It's been 3 years since he last worked. Despite his bold talk, our protagonist wonders if he is rusty. But as soon as he strikes the metal, muscle memory kicks in. Familiar sensations flood back, and our boy's confidence skyrockets. He feels pure happiness returning to his element. The blacksmith watches, initially writing him off as a total noob. Soon, though, he has to admit Hyun-soo's form is solid. Still, the old man is convinced a beginner will hit a wall eventually. In this world, results are the only thing that matters. The blacksmith assumes this is a waste of time until something crazy happens. He spots Hyun-soo using a next-level technique to purge impurities. The blacksmith is floored, wondering why he never thought of that. Suspecting a trick, he uses his special skill to scan the steel. The result shocks him. The metal jumped from grade D to grade C in the blink of an eye. He realizes this young man is the real deal. Time flies, and the blacksmith dozes off. At dawn, Hyun-soo finally wraps up. A new message pops up. Steel grade B. The blacksmith wakes up speechless. He's never seen anyone reach grade B without using special game skills. But our hero isn't stopping. With growing disbelief, the old man realizes Hyun-soo is aiming even higher. As exhaustion sets in, the impressed blacksmith jumps in to help. Together, they finish refining the metal. They stare in awe at the result. A grade A ingot, capable of forging a rare grade sword. The blacksmith explains that in all his years there, he's never seen anyone produce a magic grade item, let alone rare. Excited, he tells Hyun-soo that together, they can craft a one-of-a-kind weapon. Our protagonist keeps him grounded, insisting it's too early to pop the champagne. They still need to finish the handle and polish the blade. The blacksmith laughs, admitting he's never met anyone quite like Hyun-soo. Our boy simply says he's been obsessed with blacksmithing since he was a kid. The blacksmith suggests forging the sword again, this time with new material. He pulls out the big guns, a large, gleaming piece of mithril, a family heirloom passed down through generations. Hyun-soo asks why he's being entrusted with something so precious. The old man answers that he's learned a ton just by watching and wants to see what a true master can pull off. Our protagonist is thrilled to work with legendary metal. It's a risk, but he can't resist. The blacksmith asks if he can call Hyun-soo master. Our hero shuts that down immediately, threatening to quit if he hears that title again. The blacksmith agrees to drop it. 1 month later, the legendary sword Daylight is completed. It boasts extraordinary attack power and stats never before seen in the beginner's zone. Meanwhile, at the management center, developers are freaking out over an anomaly caused by a level 1 player. The team leader is impressed, but a colleague notes that Kim Hyun-soo requested strict confidentiality. The leader concludes he must have personal reasons for staying under the radar. Back in the game, the team leader checks on Hyun-soo's location. His colleague reports that our protagonist has entered the hunting training center. Inside, a trainer named Relson greets him with open disdain. He warns that real monsters appear there and that a level 1 player stands 0 chance. He tells Hyun-soo to get lost and go hunt rabbits instead. Our boy, confident in his hidden stats, refuses to waste time. Relson reluctantly agrees to let him try, telling him to pick a practice sword. Hyun-soo declines, stating he'll use his own. Turns out, our protagonist spent a full month rotting in the beginner's zone, a place most players speedrun in 30 minutes. But this intense grind wasn't a waste. It led to a massive boost in his basic stats. On top of that, he's now swinging the only epic grade sword in the entire area. But the kicker? Hyun-soo is still level 1 and hasn't even chosen a class yet. Meanwhile, team leader Kim Taek is sweating over this weird case. He wonders if they should let the super AI Ares handle everything. A high-ranking executive just smiles, knowing a legendary class offer is already waiting for our boy. Back in the game, Relson laughs in his face at the idea of Hyun-soo using a self-made sword. The instructor thinks it's pathetic to risk a future on a useless profession like blacksmithing. As the test begins, Relson stresses that a trained swordsman is far more important than some shoddy weapon. He mocks the blacksmith wannabe, tanking his affinity with our hero. Hyun-soo is used to this crap. In reality, his dream was always brushed aside as trash. Yet, he senses that in Ares, his efforts might finally pay off. Our protagonist asks about the best swordsman trained here, then straight up demands a test harder than anything they faced. Relson is pissed at the arrogance, but he recognizes the guts. Provoked, he agrees to a special trial, explaining that only the chosen few get this shot. He drags Hyun-soo to another area, noting that the current record is the 3rd stage trial. Relson summons a level 6 Swift Goblin, warning that failure means a week-long ban. Our hero ignores the threat and asks if the 3rd stage is the limit. He declares he's taking every trial available. Relson, insulted, snaps and summons the 4th final stage trial monster, a level 15 Mad Goblin. Few have passed the 3rd, and no one has ever cleared the 4th. All hell breaks loose. The goblin goes feral, attacking viciously, but our boy dodges like a pro. Hyun-soo knows a blacksmith can sense the latent power in a weapon. He activates Daylight's skill, Durable Sword, increasing his physical defense. The blade screams with power as Hyun-soo declares no weapon here can beat what he's created. He drops the swift goblin instantly. Suddenly, another goblin ambushes him, landing a heavy blow. Relson notes the critical hit, assuming our hero is toast. Yet, the outcome shocks everyone. Hyun-soo tanks the hit with 82% of his health remaining. Our protagonist credits his survival to the endless hours spent crafting, which drastically spiked his strength and vitality. Relson warns that the real nightmare is just starting. The Mad Goblin unleashes a special move called Thorns of Madness, making our boy see stars with dizziness. Though Relson is impressed, he thinks the fight is over. Our boy steadies himself, trusting his weapon. He activates Daylight's passive skill, Swift Blade, which hugely boosts attack speed. Hyun-soo unleashes a rapid flurry of strikes, bridging the level gap. The developers, watching the action unfold, are losing their minds. With a final blow, Hyun-soo wipes out the remaining goblins. Relson is stunned, shouting that this is impossible. He praises Hyun-soo, realizing every move drew out the sword's full power. The instructor guesses our hero must have a background in swordsmanship. Hyun-soo simply explains that he only learned one thing. A true blacksmith must be able to handle the weapons he creates. Relson notices the muscles and scars on his arms, clear proof of the relentless grind. He realizes he is witnessing a real craftsman and apologizes for being a jerk earlier. Respecting this talent, Relson suggests Hyun-soo become a Mad Master. A window pops up, offering the class change quest for the legendary class, Mad Master. Meanwhile, the developers are freaking out. The Mad Master class is even more prestigious than the epic Mad Knight, automatically making Hyun-soo a VIP user. The team leader knows there's no turning back. This class would make our protagonist a protector of the world. In the game, Relson urges Hyun-soo to accept, assuring him he could be a king among knights. However, our boy shuts him down. He declares that he is a blacksmith, not a knight. Everyone, from Relson to the management center, is floored. Relson laughs in admiration, calling Hyun-soo's persistence incredible. Our hero reflects that he never thought he'd wield a hammer again, but here, his life as a blacksmith is truly restarting. Relson accepts his choice. He hands over a recommendation letter for a hidden quest and gives our boy a piece of rusty armor once worn by a Mad Master. Relson encourages him to accomplish what others couldn't. Our protagonist promises to do his best. The developers agree that Hyun-soo has overcome his greatest crisis and that his potential is insane. Now, our hero sets out on his path to become the god of blacksmithing. System messages spam the screen, announcing the end of the tutorial and the start of the main quest. The real game is about to begin, but before our protagonist can even make a move, he gets booted, force-logged out. Back in reality, Hyun-soo faces the cold, hard truth. Gas bills and hospital fees have left his bank account on life support. He knows his top priority is keeping a roof over his family's head. Kim Ji-han calls, asking if he finished the training zone. Our boy replies that he just reached the village, and Kim Ji-han is hyped. He encourages Hyun-soo to head straight to the auction house, explaining that gold equals real cash. He admits this financial opportunity is the only reason he dragged Hyun-soo into Ares. Before hanging up, Ji-han drops a truth bomb. He's never seen anything better than the swords Hyun-soo and his father crafted. He predicts that with the VVIP capsule's 99.9% synchronization, the results will be insane. He urges our hero to flood the world with his masterpieces. Hyun-soo feels a surge of gratitude. After the call, he decides to focus on crafting and questing to make bank. He understands that stamina management is key. He starts exercising in the real world, noting that while gaming drains energy, nothing compares to the grueling grind of real blacksmithing. As he runs, he makes a silent promise to his father to endure this. Returning to Ares, our hero hits the auction house. He names his shop Hyan's Forge. After creating the shop tool, the system grants him access to the auction panel from anywhere. He selects a prototype sword he made in the workshop. Hyan's first sword. It's a rare grade weapon. Similar swords usually sell for 70 gold, but he lists it for 100 gold, planning to explore the village while he waits. Suddenly, the auction board lights up. Players notice a weird new listing, and the bidding for Hyun-soo's sword skyrockets, quickly smashing past 300 gold pieces. This frenzy catches the eye of a member of the Golden Shield Guild. He rushes to tell the vice captain, explaining that the creator is a level 1 player with no class, yet he crafted a top-tier sword using primitive raw materials. The weapon even has an enhancement option. The vice captain is impressed. Using low-quality materials usually tanks the enhancement success rate, meaning the creator cleverly cut costs while maintaining quality. He concludes that this weapon is viable up to level 50. Realizing the honor of discovering such a talent, he decides to buy it immediately. Meanwhile, Hyun-soo wonders if his practice piece will even sell. Suddenly, a notification pops up. Hyeon's first sword has been sold. Our boy is shocked by the speed. He checks the final price and sees it closed at 1,008 gold pieces, far above his 100 gold. Quickly doing the math, he realizes this equals more than 1,000,000 Korean won. Joy and disbelief flood over him. Hyun-soo discovers that the buyer is the Golden Shield Guild. He receives a DM offering an exclusive sales contract or a spot in the guild. Guild info reveals they are a massive blacksmithing group with 780,000 followers. Hyun-soo knows gaining followers is much harder than just leveling up, and a large following translates directly to profit. Checking Hyeon's forge, he sees he has only 82. However, his message box is overflowing with offers from other guilds. Our protagonist realizes that Ares is a sanctuary for blacksmiths. Even if he's a nobody in reality, he finds new value here, where a craftsman's skills are backed by cold, hard data. He decides that now isn't the right time to join a guild. Instead, he heads to the Lord's castle, determined to prove his worth on his own terms. Inside the castle, Lord Burns is stressing out with his advisor, Bell. The Lord wonders if repairing an artifact is impossible. Bell explains that failure could mean the piece is lost forever, insisting they need the continent's best restoration expert. However, he adds that this expert is eccentric and refuses to meet anyone. The Lord is crushed. He can't leave his territory to seek help, especially since the unique bow is his father's only legacy. But here's the twist. Bell is actually a level 100 scammer disguised as a blacksmith. He has spent a week earning the Lord's trust with the sole purpose of ripping him off. He offers to take the bow to the capital for restoration, demanding 300 gold pieces in exchange. At that exact moment, Hyun-soo kicks the door in. He declares that the bow can be restored right here. Bell, realizing his scam is about to be ruined, is absolutely furious. Lord Burns is skeptical. He asks if Hyun-soo can truly restore the burnt bow right here in the castle without a proper workshop. He orders a guard to verify the kid's identity, and the guard confirms that this is indeed the person sent by Instructor Relson. Surprised by the connection, the Lord formally asks Hyun-soo to state his specs. Standing before the Lord of Banan, our protagonist introduces himself. Name, Hyun-soo, level 1, class, unemployed. Bell loses his mind. He can't believe a level 1 noob would speak so confidently in front of the Lord. The scammer protests, claiming restoration is high-level content reserved for blacksmiths above level 80. He accuses Hyun-soo of wasting their time and orders him to get out. Our boy calmly shuts him down. He explains that the weapon isn't a standard recurve bow, but a horn bow, a traditional composite weapon. Both Lord Burns and Bell look confused. Hyun-soo explains he learned the backstory from Guard Baker. He knows the Lord wants to restore his late father's bow, a gift from a mysterious foreigner. Lord Burns confirms the bow is unique but admits he's sick of strangers making false promises. He warns Hyun-soo to back up his words with proof. Our hero asks to verify one thing and then drops a bombshell. Even though it was gifted by a foreigner, the bow was actually crafted right here in this land. Hyun-soo lays out his deduction. He saw a painting of a water buffalo in the hall, and the horns of that animal are precious crafting materials. But the real kicker is the bow's curvature. He reveals the crucial detail. It was made using whale sinew, not cow sinew. He asks for confirmation, and Lord Burns is floored. Hyun-soo is spot on. The Lord explains the foreigner was a blacksmith friend of his father's. He confirms the materials: giant buffalo horns and whale sinew from Barden Swamp. Using these rare local resources, his father's friend created the finest bow ever seen in Barden. The Lord is deeply impressed by Hyun-soo's eye for detail, especially since Bell, the supposed level 115 master, missed all of it. Convinced, Lord Burns officially asks him to restore the bow. Hyun-soo accepts the quest. The reward? A cool 500 gold pieces. The Lord orders Bell to leave the room. The fraud exits, furious and swearing revenge on Hyun-soo for blowing up his scheme. The Lord asks what is needed, and our boy rattles off the list: buffalo horns, whale sinew, specific woods, and finishing tools. He demonstrates complete mastery of the bow's construction. He receives the restoration method for the sniper's horn bow, but there is a catch. A warning pops up. If the success rate falls below 70%, the restoration will fail and the bow will be destroyed forever. Hyun-soo recalls learning to make bows from his father. His dad once asked if he enjoyed the craft despite the calluses. The young boy replied that what he loved most was doing it together. His father promised to teach him true blacksmithing when he got older, but for now he had to master the raw materials. Our hero whispers, "Yes, Dad," feeling the familiar sensation in his hands. He trusts he can do this. Impressed by his confidence, Lord Burns offers to help. The two work together tirelessly. Our protagonist gets lost in shaping the wood while the Lord lends a hand. Burns admits that manual labor is tough and his strength is fading, but seeing the joy on Hyun-soo's face gives him energy. After a full week, the tired Lord asks if he should return to his duties. Our boy requests he stay to help with the final installation. He realizes the Lord returns daily because he desperately wants to restore his father's memento with his own hands. Lord Burns confirms this, admitting the bow is the only memory he has left. He asks Hyun-soo why he loves this work so much. Our hero smiles, explaining that his own best memories are tied to the craft too. They agree that restoring memories takes time and sweat. Days turn into weeks. 20 days of grinding pass. At last, the final day arrives. The restoration of the sniper's horn bow is complete. It is reborn as an epic weapon, with stats far superior to the original. Lord Burns stands before his father's statue and wonders if his old man is watching. Hyun-soo suggests the Lord try it out. Burns releases an arrow and notes that it doesn't just feel the same, it feels even better. Laughing joyfully, he declares it a masterpiece. A quest completion message pops up. The system announces that Hyun-soo's affinity with Lord Burns has reached the maximum. The incredible success rating exceeded 10%. The Lord thanks our protagonist, saying he can finally be at peace. However, he feels the promised reward is chump change compared to what Hyun-soo accomplished. Because of the massive success, the quest reward gets an upgrade. Along with 2,000 gold pieces, the Lord grants him free use of the castle's blacksmith workshop. Our boy is genuinely happy. He does the math. 2,000 gold is about 20 million won. That covers his father's medical bills for a long time. With admiration, the Lord asks our hero a question that comes out of nowhere. Has he ever considered learning swordsmanship? Lord Burns drops a secret from his past. Before he became the Lord, he was a swordsman. He tells Hyun-soo about first swordsmanship, a legendary art famous for subduing countless monsters. The Lord admits that while Hyun-soo is a natural-born blacksmith, he also sees the potential of a true swordsman in him. With instructor Relson's recommendation and his own observations, Burns offers to share his essence. He presents a skill quest to learn the technique, assuring Hyun-soo that with his grit, success is in the bag. For our boy, this training is a massive, unexpected gift. Hyun-soo works like a machine, crafting his own hornbow, restoring the rusty Madmaster armor, and enduring intensive training. He spars daily with Lord Burns until he masters the course. When it's time to leave, our hero tells the Lord he is fully prepped. Wearing his newly restored armor and carrying his custom bow, he declares his next goal, getting a proper profession. He says goodbye to Burns and organizes his inventory. He reviews his gear. The Madmaster armor compensates for his low level with a damage reflection skill, while the new bow boasts a crazy 60% accuracy boost. To fund his journey, he crafts several rare bows and lists them in the auction house. He checks the listing for Hyan's second bow. Elsewhere, Flame, leader of the Golden Shield Guild, watches the auction in total disbelief. He notes that even Korea's #1 player, Black, never made a bow of this quality at level 10. Flame marvels at how our protagonist crafted such an item at level 1 using trash-tier materials. He recalls the words of the world's greatest blacksmith, Smith. The AI Ares decides everything. If the system is impressed, it grants a fitting title. Flame figures the master of Hyan's workshop must possess a legendary class title to produce artifacts at this level. Back with Hyun-soo, our boy is stunned to see his bow's final price, 2,050 gold pieces. He realizes this equals roughly 25 million won, life-changing money for a single weapon. He also notices his follower count has skyrocketed to 3,200. His inbox is flooded with guild invitations. Feeling ready, our hero sets his sights on the holy land of blacksmiths, the Tower of Blacksmiths. He arrives at the towering structure, finding its entrance sealed by a magic barrier chained in place. A system message identifies this as the Tower of the Swordmaker. To enter, he must break the seal using a sword forged in the magic workshop. Examining the seal, Hyun-soo recognizes volcanic basalt rock. He finds the entrance to the magic workshop and steps inside. Inside, our protagonist learns the rules. Materials and tools are unlimited, and production time is fast-forwarded. However, swords made here can only be used for the test. The challenge is purely about crafting a blade sharp enough to cut stone. High in the tower, Master Deng mutters that all visitors are just fools chasing quick gold. He claims the true path of the blacksmith is dead. He lets anyone attempt the test, knowing they will never break the real seal. At best, they might scratch it. Hyun-soo decides to forge a Damascus sword. The system warns him that such a blade is typically for master blacksmiths, and recommends starting with a simple iron dagger, but our hero ignores the advice. With infinite materials, he uses a special forging method his father taught him specifically to cut stone. Inspired by the perfect facilities, our boy calls the game insane and throws himself into the work with unmatched energy. Suddenly, Dang wakes up to a violent tremor shaking the entire tower. Investigating, he is stunned to see the once unbreakable stone seal split cleanly in half. The Tower Master is speechless as Hyun-soo steps through the now open entrance. Deng proclaims that the god of blacksmithing has finally arrived. Our protagonist approaches and quietly asks if he passed. Deng replies that normally, ability is measured by the scratch, but Hyun-soo destroyed the whole thing. As our hero wonders if this means a retest, a glowing magic circle appears. Deng clarifies that this is not magic, but a summoning circle. Tower Master Deng presents his special hammer to our boy. Hyun-soo receives the system message, acquired Deng's hammer. A new SS rank quest begins. Deng tells him that now comes the real trial, wishing him success. In a flash, Hyun-soo is transported. He finds himself atop castle walls, only to see an army of orcs advancing toward the fortress. The SS rank quest updates. Defeat the orc army. Our hero is baffled, unable to grasp the connection between a war zone and a blacksmithing quest. The soldiers on the wall spot Hyun-soo and go wild. They erupt in cheers, celebrating the arrival of reinforcements. The quest objective becomes clear. Our hero must achieve a 70% contribution rate among 50 warriors. The squad leader, Hans, a level 48 warrior, welcomes him warmly. Hans explains that the orc invasion is getting fiercer. Most of their gear is trash, so he asks our boy to fix it fast. Our protagonist bursts their bubble. He explains it's a misunderstanding. Since he hasn't changed his class to blacksmith yet, he has 0 repair skills. Hans points confusedly at the hammer, but our hero explains it's just for the test. When Hans asks about combat experience, Hyun-soo admits he's a total noob. The mood tanks instantly. The soldiers realize that instead of support, they have a novice to babysit. Hans orders our boy to hide in the watchtower. Suddenly, a massive axe spins toward Hans. Our hero sprints forward, parrying the weapon like it's nothing. He asks to join the fight. For our protagonist, this battle is the true test. Hans is confused but agrees, telling him to fall in. The pressure of real warfare hits our boy hard, but he's sure he won't lose. Our hero leaps into the fray and deletes a level 10 orc, leveling up instantly. The intense month of grinding is paying off. Ben, a nearby soldier, watches in disbelief at the raw strength of a player with no class. In the heat of battle, Ben gets into deep trouble. Noticing this, our protagonist switches to his hornbow and fires. The luminous arrow strikes the orc's chest, saving Ben. Another orc sneaks up behind him. Our boy reacts fast, landing another shot and leveling up again. The soldiers are stunned. A single arrow from Hyun-soo takes down even the largest monsters. He shouts at Ben to snap out of it, warning that the orcs are targeting him now. Ben is rattled. Surrounded, our protagonist swaps to his daylight sword and pops the rampage skill. The result is absolute carnage. Orcs fall in droves. Hyun-soo's contribution rate jumps to 19%. Hans realizes the master had a good reason for sending this kid. With Hyun-soo, Hans believes they can achieve the impossible. Excited, he rallies his soldiers to wipe out the enemy. Our hero feels like a true member of the squad, and the system announces his performance has boosted morale. The battle rages on, and his contribution rises to 28%. He wonders why it isn't climbing faster, even though he's dispatching orcs efficiently. Suddenly, a hidden quest activates. A boss enters the chat, a level 51 orc warrior. Hans shouts for the squad to halt. He recognizes their nemesis. Panic spreads. Hans realizes they've advanced too far to escape. Yet, his soldiers are ride or die. They declare they are ready to fight, and Ben vows never to retreat. Hans orders the attack. Our boy notices the soldiers charging recklessly. He tries to provide cover fire, but he gets a nasty shock. His arrows bounce off the orc warrior's armor like rubber. Hyun-soo realizes the foe's hide is like steel. Arrows alone won't work. Despair grips the squad. Someone suggests running, but Hans insists there's no turning back. The orc warrior charges. In a single brutal strike, the monster chops off Hans's arm. The squad leader realizes too late that victory is out of reach. Our protagonist watches in horror as Hans hits the dirt, blood pouring onto the battlefield. Panic spreads like wildfire as the orcs roar. One soldier screams that their weapons can't even scratch the enemy's armor, realizing their attacks are useless. Another is convinced they are all dead meat. Our hero steps up, shouting to the squad that fighting like this is suicide. He orders everyone to form a defensive line and retreat into the forest behind him, assuring them he'll catch up soon. The squad obeys, evacuating their wounded leader, Hans. Ben takes command of the rear, organizing the men to hold off the orcs as long as possible. He tells our boy this strategy will only buy a little time. Our protagonist replies that he just needs 5 minutes. Ben is on board, vowing to hold the line no matter what. With that, Hyun-soo vanishes into the trees. Standard arrows are trash against the orc warrior's thick armor, so our hero pulls out the big guns, Deng's replicating hammer. It's an epic tool capable of duplicating consumables and drastically slashing crafting time. For the first time, victory feels possible. Meanwhile, the soldiers fight desperately in the forest, holding back the relentless orc advance. Ben refuses to give up or retreat, determined to buy those 5 minutes for Hyun-soo. Just as Ben is about to be decapitated by the orc warrior, a streak of light tears through the air. It strikes the monster dead instantly, saving Ben's life. The soldier is stunned. Suddenly, more projectiles fly from the shadows, each one hitting its target with terrifying accuracy. It turns out our boy is crafting and firing these special arrows from his hidden position. The orc warrior roars in fury at this new tactic. As the monster rages, our protagonist prepares his next weapon, with the soldiers pinning all their hopes on him. Hyun-soo has crafted special arrows called Pyeonjeon, rare, short arrows with insane penetration power and speed, capable of shattering stone. To fire them, he uses a bamboo guide known as a tonga. Using Deng's hammer, our hero instantly replicates the razor-sharp edges of these arrows. When combined with his hornbow, the set effect dramatically boosts both attack power and penetration. The orcs continue their assault while the soldiers fight valiantly to buy him time. Seizing the moment, our boy fires his special arrow, this time aiming directly at the orc warrior's helmet. The projectile, carrying the force of a sniper rifle, punches straight through the thick armor and kills the enemy instantly. His level jumps to 3, and he earns the title Orc Slayer, which boosts his attack power against orcs and strikes fear into their ranks. The remaining orcs lose their nerve. Panic sweeps through them, and they break ranks to flee. The soldiers shout in triumph, hunting down the retreating monsters. Hyun-soo and the squad join the pursuit. Our protagonist leaps after an escaping orc, firing arrows with pinpoint precision and giving the enemy zero chance to escape. He lands a perfect shot straight to the head. Soon, the last remnants of the orc army are wiped out. With the battle won, the mission to suppress the invasion ends in total victory. Our hero's final contribution reaches an astonishing 92%. The system announces the mission is complete with an exceptional record. The victorious soldiers chant Master Hyun-soo's name. He wins the squad's full trust and receives a hidden title, Battlefield Commander. Approaching the injured Hans, who is being patched up, our protagonist listens as the leader speaks. Hans admits they always focused on defense and never believed they could fulfill their long-held dream of defeating the orcs. He thanks Hyun-soo, as do the rest of the soldiers. Our hero thanks them right back. Realizing his additional test is finally over, Hyun-soo considers returning to the blacksmith tower, but wonders how to get back. Back at the central tower of blacksmiths, Tower Master Deng is in a mood. He complains that the tower has fallen off. All the glory goes to the knights, while the people coming here are just chasing a quick buck. Deng insists they need someone worthy to fulfill the prophecy and restore their golden age. Coulson interrupts, dripping with sarcasm. He questions if Deng is even qualified to lead. Disdainful, Coulson dismisses the Chosen One idea as a total hoax. He whines about being summoned during his busy schedule just to test some random foreign kid. Deng shuts him down, asking if Coulson actually read the report. Hyun-soo earned this right by merit, passing the test and annihilating the orc army despite having no class. The other masters are shocked by the word annihilation. They can't believe a classless player pulled that off. Deng points out that the prophecy demands a successor stronger than anyone. The sword itself will give the final answer. The grand doors swing open, and our protagonist steps into the magnificent hall. Deng welcomes him, confirming he has passed the test, and now has the right to enter the sanctuary of blacksmiths. He tells our hero he is eligible to challenge the sword of prophecy. Everything will be decided once Hyun-soo holds the weapon. Our boy reflects on the phrase, suitable reward. He recalls the SS rank mission he crushed and wonders if he's about to snag a legendary class. Coulson steps forward to congratulate Hyun-soo, complimenting his quick thinking, but his tone turns nasty. He claims the arrow Hyun-soo made was just a cheap replica and dismisses the victory as pure luck. Coulson sneers that without the epic bow, our protagonist would have failed. He challenges him to draw the sword, eager to see if his luck holds up. Hyun-soo looks around. He realizes these masters are high-level NPCs who shape the legends of Ares. Noticing that Coulson, master of the Bowsmith Tower, is level 365, our hero understands everyone here is a heavy hitter. Still, he feels zero inferiority. He believes that if it comes down to pure craftsmanship, without the bias of titles, he would come out on top. Our protagonist approaches the legendary sword. It glows with overwhelming power, sending a wave of energy that shocks the masters. Suddenly, the sword erupts in brilliant light, engulfing the entire hall. Hyun-soo wonders what the hell is happening as he's swallowed by the energy. When the light fades, he stands in the same spot, but the sword has vanished. Deng gasps. He laughs, realizing the real successor didn't even need to touch the sword. It chose him instantly. Across the hall, Coulson curses in rage, refusing to accept the outcome. Just then, the system drops a bomb. It announces that the first god class has appeared in the world of Ares. Coulson's anger boils over. He can't accept that a novice received such an immense honor. The system confirms it. Hyun-soo has advanced to the god of blacksmithing. Our protagonist and Deng are stunned. This isn't just a legendary class. It's the first of its kind, granting him insane abilities. He is no longer bound by level requirements while crafting, and his experience increases automatically based on the items he creates. The prophecy confirms that as a blacksmith, he will become stronger than anyone else. A new class quest, Test of the Sword, appears, unlocking at level 100. The other Tower Masters whisper among themselves, accepting the sword's choice. However, Coulson throws a tantrum. He loudly protests, reminding everyone of a specific clause. The successor must gain the recognition of all Tower Masters. Coulson officially challenges Hyun-soo to a blacksmith duel. The terms are set. If our boy wins, Coulson will recognize him. If Coulson wins, Hyun-soo must give up the position. Deng tries to stop it, but Coulson glares at his colleagues in defiance. Our protagonist decides to mock him, saying that if Coulson wants to run away, now is the time. He adds that if Coulson loses, he'll have to serve as Deputy Tower Master and take his training seriously. Coulson laughs, but our boy accepts the challenge with complete confidence. At that moment, a secret skill unlocks, a way for blacksmiths to communicate through their craft. Hyun-soo gains the ability to use custom god crafting. The Salty Master explains that a blacksmith's duel is a whole different ballgame from a knight's contest. It isn't about physical strength, it's a clash between two creations. The rules are simple. Both blacksmiths forge a sword, then smash them against each other. The blade that breaks first takes the L. Coulson declares the workshop is ready. Since Hyun-soo has skills, one day should be enough. He mocks our boy, telling him they will meet tomorrow. After Coulson storms off, Deng warns our protagonist that he accepted the duel too lightly. The Tower Master explains that Coulson is one of the most skilled artisans on the continent. Hyun-soo agrees. If he were still an ordinary blacksmith, he would get crushed. Typically, skills are tied to level and title, but now that our hero has advanced to God class, those restrictions are gone. The only thing that matters is pure skill. Thanks to his new status, he has acquired the active God rank skill, Custom God Crafting. This skill allows him to create fully customized artifacts and bestow any effect he chooses. The catch? The higher the grade of the chosen effects, the harder the crafting process becomes. Meanwhile, in his own workshop, Coulson is stuck in the past. He remembers believing he would inherit the family craft. Instead, someone more skilled appeared, forcing him to settle for Bow Tower Master. He accepted it to serve Deng, but he cannot accept Deng elevating a stranger above everyone else. Coulson pours his frustration into the hammer, causing an explosion of fire. In Hyun-soo's workshop, Deng watches our boy at work. The Tower Master knows that bestowing abilities follows the law of equivalent exchange. Usually one prioritizes durability to gain an edge in a duel, yet Deng is confused. The durability and stats of Hyun-soo's sword appear to be only rare grade. Our protagonist completes his sword, the blade shining with brilliant light. Deng wonders just what the god of blacksmithing is cooking. The next day, everyone gathers for the showdown. Coulson challenges Hyun-soo to prove himself worthy. Coulson reveals his sword first, Coulson's Dark Knight, a unique sword. Its stats are insane, 12,000 durability and 664 attack power. It also features abilities that boost durability by 35%. Deng and the other masters praise Coulson's craftsmanship. Coulson flexes that his blade is a masterpiece and demands to see what our boy has made. Hyun-soo unveils his sword, stunning them for the wrong reasons. It is only rare grade. Its durability is a pathetic 1,000. And its attack power sits at 177. A Tower Master sneers, calling the sword ridiculous and claiming Deng was foolish to trust a random player. Coulson proclaims this is the end and charges at Hyun-soo. Our protagonist stands his ground. Metal clashes against metal. Then, a sharp snap rings out. Deng and the spectators stare, jaws on the floor. Coulson's unique sword, Dark Knight, has shattered into pieces. Coulson is speechless. Calmly, Hyun-soo explains that a sword's value isn't determined by grade alone. The details of our hero's sword appear, showing its special active ability, a sword that cuts swords. This custom effect gave it a 65% chance of cutting the opponent's weapon upon impact. It was a unique, unrepairable blade, a literal glass cannon created for a single purpose. Deng recalls his father's prediction about a successor who would break tradition. He remembers a young Coulson, who was once eager to learn those teachings. A flashback reveals our protagonist in the workshop, explaining to Deng that simply breaking swords wouldn't convince the masters. That's why he chose to create a sword that literally cuts swords. Deng had doubted it was possible, but Hyun-soo proved that infusing unique properties comes down to skill and sweat. Now Deng understands. It was a daring choice. He realizes our hero has the vision to turn bold ideas into reality. Coulson whispers the title, God of Blacksmithing. He wonders if he'll ever be able to forge a weapon like that. Hyun-soo looks at him with a calm smile, declaring that the word impossible doesn't exist. Coulson accepts defeat. Our protagonist tells the fallen master that he now stands before the god of blacksmithing. A system window announces that the duel of the blacksmith's quest is complete. The Tower Masters drop a nice payday on Hyun-soo, a box containing 500 gold coins. On top of the cash, they hand him a scroll detailing the recipe for a legendary bow, one of the 10 treasures of the tower. Coulson admits this recipe is out of his league. He believes entrusting it to someone on the path to greatness is the only right move. Deng addresses our protagonist, declaring that the god of blacksmithing will kickstart a new age of prosperity. He encourages our boy to aim for the absolute peak. The growth of the god starts right now. The scene shifts to the real world. Hyun-soo is celebrating with Kim Ji-han. The wealthy friend can't believe he's drinking beer on Hyun-soo's dime. He congratulates him on achieving the God rank class, calling it absolutely insane. Ji-han admits he recommended the game to stop our hero's talent from rotting, but he never imagined he'd be this cracked at it. He points out that after all the hell our protagonist went through, he's finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Kim Ji-han asks the million-dollar question, what actually changes with the God class? Our boy laughs and says, honestly, not much feels different yet. His immediate focus is the hospital bill, a ticking time bomb due tomorrow. To make matters worse, another 10 million won has been slapped onto the treatment cost. Ji-han shares an update about his father's new medicine. Bad news, it isn't covered by insurance, so the price tag is at least 20 million won. He reminds Hyun-soo that his own burn treatments aren't free either. Ji-han drops a reality check. Having a god class isn't enough to pay the bills. There's a physical limit to how many artifacts our hero can craft. He explains that Hyun-soo needs to level up and build massive fame. Kim Ji-han gives him the playbook. Rub elbows with the biggest shots and Aries. This way, he'll snag much bigger rewards and rare items. Our hero takes the advice to heart. Ji-han then claims to have a plan, announcing that his big brother in the game will help. Our boy just laughs and tells him not to get fired from his day job. Ji-han shows him the latest news. The internet is blowing up about a player named Lord. Always ranked 21st, Lord has finally reached a legendary class. But the shocking part? Lord actually defeated Sword King Barad, an NPC no one had ever beaten. Players are losing their minds. Meanwhile, our protagonist feels the crushing pressure of the hospital costs, 30 million won per month. He realizes that even combining quest rewards and auction profits, he is short. Hyun-soo is determined not to let his father's treatment stop. At that moment, speak of the devil, he receives a notification. One of his swords have sold for 53,310 gold coins. The buyer? Lord. Our boy immediately heads to the hospital reception and pays off every cent. With the weight finally lifted, Hyun-soo decides he can never stop playing Aries. Back in the game, he receives a DM from Lord. The ranker explains that thanks to Hyun-soo's sword, he passed Sword King Barad's test. Lord adds that anyone who knows the true value would call the price a steal. The message reveals the secret. Our hero's sword cut the Sword King's own weapon, creating an opening that stunned the NPC. Lord drops a massive opportunity. King Barad is waiting for him and wants him to make a sword. Our protagonist is startled. He realizes this is the golden ticket to solve all his problems. Resolving to seize this chance, our boy decides meeting Barad is a must. Elsewhere, a stylish man enters an old blacksmith workshop in the modern world. He whispers that there is only 1 month left on their promise. Back to Hyun-soo. He's on the phone with Kim Ji-han, who is shocked at the idea of walking up to Sword King Barad. Ji-han laughs in his face. He points out that even a god rank class doesn't grant access to everything. Generally, meeting a high-level NPC like Barad requires a player to be at least level 200 with high fame. However, he assures our hero there is a loophole. Ji-han tells him about the Goyad Martial Arts Tournament, an annual event in the Goyad Kingdom restricted to levels 50-60. King Barad hosts it to scout talent. The winner gets prize money directly from the king himself. Ji-han concludes that if Hyun-soo wants to meet the king right away, this is his only path. Heeding Dang's advice to explore the world, our protagonist sets his sights on the next destination. With determination, our boy embarks for the castle region to begin his journey. Hyun-soo recalls Dang's advice. The Kasil region sits on the border of the Prime and Goyad kingdoms, a meat grinder holding back relentless waves of undead. This is the fastest place to power level, and our hero is determined to crush the upcoming mission. Upon arriving, Centurion Render greets him, asking if he is part of the reinforcements. He notes the timing is perfect. They are desperate for warm bodies. The commander explains that the undead attacks keep spiking and shares the region's lore. In the past, the Holy Ramus bell rang throughout the land, weakening the monsters. But recently the bell shattered. The commander admits they were caught with their pants down. Although they beefed up defenses, the enemy realized the weakness and started creeping in. Hyun-soo asks if the Ramus bell can be repaired. Render freezes, suddenly realizing Hyun-soo's potential identity. He asks if he came from Master Dang, and our boy confirms it. Render freaks out, asking why he didn't lead with that, and rushes him to see the captain. Captain Cal of the Castle Knights asks if Dang sent him personally. Render confirms it, explaining that Hyun-soo wants to inspect the bell. Captain Cal shuts it down, stating that Dang already declared the bell unrepairable. The Lord made several secret attempts, but every expert, including a level 290 master, said it's toast. Captain Cal eyes our hero and demands his level. Hyun-soo replies honestly, level 13. Render's jaw drops. Captain Cal sighs, telling our protagonist he's a liability and advising him to find a safe spot in the rear. The captain explains that if the main undead army breaks through, it's game over. Suddenly a soldier bursts in. The undead are hitting the eastern wall. It's ghouls, a massive horde of level 41 monsters headed straight for the gate. The captain declares the situation critical. He orders Render to follow him and tells Hyun-soo to keep his mouth shut about the bell. Our hero thinks that if this is like the Orc War, he can handle it. A new regional war quest begins. Drive away the ghouls and protect the gates. The horde rushes the walls as the soldiers fight for their lives. Render explains that undead are tanky. Without holy power, it takes forever to kill them. Render is stunned when Hyun-soo drops a ghoul with a single arrow to the head, without a drop of holy power. Our boy uses the flying arrow skill, and the projectile hits like a truck, piercing through rows of ghouls. The soldiers cheer, and Render declares that they can actually win this. Hyun-soo thinks this isn't as bad as he feared. Then, the system announces a new phase. A massive threat enters the chat. A quest to defeat a giant siege ghoul is issued. The soldiers panic. They want to call the captain, but he is busy at the main gate. No backup is coming. As the threat approaches, Render fears the wall will crumble. Hyun-soo steps up, announcing that he will draw the monster's aggro. He jumps off the wall, ignoring the soldiers screaming that it's suicide. Below, our protagonist faces the giant siege ghoul directly. He skillfully dodges its clumsy attacks, successfully grabbing the beast's attention. Our hero believes that if he takes down the monster, the defense will hold. He decides to kite it away from the wall. The ghoul attacks with force, and our boy is stunned by its unexpected speed. He switches to his bow and fires a flying arrow. The arrow hits the ghoul's head dead center, but bounces off like a toy. 0 damage. This shocks Hyun-soo. The level gap is too massive. The ghoul retaliates with a crushing blow, and our hero's HP instantly drops below 10%. A system message warns him that if his HP hits 0, he will be forcibly logged out. Our boy refuses to let it end like this. Our hero hits the dirt. The forced logout mechanic feels absurd, but the stakes are real. Hyun-soo knows that if he fails here, he misses the Goyard martial arts tournament. Paying his father's hospital bills, his own treatment, and reclaiming his path as a blacksmith, all of it goes up in smoke. Knowing this is his only chance to change his reality, our protagonist digs deep for one last push. He fires another arrow at the giant ghoul, making the monster roar in agony. However, the creature claps back with a deafening sonic blast, dropping his HP below 3%. Even in agony, our boy prepares to fire once more. To his horror, snap. The bowstring breaks. The ghoul seizes the opening, launching a devastating blow. Hyun-soo is left standing with exactly 1 HP remaining. On the verge of death, our protagonist refuses to quit. His insane grit triggers a system message, announcing that a rare condition has been met. His fierce will satisfies the god of blacksmithing, activating a new skill, emergency god crafting. The rules are brutal. He must create a weapon in under 20 seconds, and it will only last for 30 seconds before poofing out of existence. Recognizing this is his only shot, he starts the process. A 19-second countdown begins. He grabs materials and forges at lightning speed. As the timer hits 0, our boy finishes a brand new sword and launches himself at the monster. With a fierce shout, Hyun-soo charges. Activating the Scythe of Death sword skill, he freezes the monster for an instant before delivering a flawless finishing blow, driving the blade through the beast. The giant ghoul is toast. It collapses, defeated, and our hero is completely drained. A system message declares he has deleted the boss. He gains a massive XP dump, instantly boosting his level to 38. Hyun-soo breathes a heavy sigh of relief. He is now tournament qualified. He passes out from exhaustion as Render and the soldiers rush over. Later, Hyun-soo wakes up, bandaged and lying in bed. He sees himself surrounded by soldiers chanting his name, calling him a true hero. One steps forward to say it was thanks to Hyun-soo that everyone survived. Captain Cal approaches and expresses his gratitude, asking how the hell he managed to win. Hyun-soo is vague. He knows the truth would sound crazy. Captain Cal insists he shouldn't downplay his achievements, stating clearly that Hyun-soo carried the team. Internally, our protagonist knows exactly what happened. He realized that ghouls, as spiritual entities, are weak against holy power. This reminded him of the Sword of the Four Symbols, a blade famous for nuking evil. Thanks to his father's teachings, he recreated it on the spot using his god skill. Captain Cal insists on giving him a reward. He hands over a pouch with 2,000 gold coins. Seeing this, our boy is genuinely happy. That's roughly 20 million won. A huge payday. Cal admits he misjudged Hyun-soo at first, thinking he was just another scrub, and asks for forgiveness. Our protagonist assures him it's all good. At that moment, their affinity hits the maximum. Then, Captain Cal makes a formal request. He asks Hyun-soo to repair the Ramus bell. The captain sensed holy power in the sword Hyun-soo used, and believes restoration is possible. Hyun-soo politely apologizes. He appreciates the trust, but he needs to bounce to the Goyard Kingdom for the tournament. Captain Cal smiles and drops the bait. He reveals a detail no blacksmith could ignore. The Lord owns a piece of legendary metal. If the bell is restored, that metal is his. Our protagonist's interest is immediately piqued. Captain Cal brings him to see the artifact, showing Hyun-soo a pile of golden fragments. Hyun-soo is shocked. The bell isn't just damaged, it's reduced to literal dust. The captain asks if he can recreate it. Hyun-soo admits this is worse than he imagined, but insists there must be a solution. Suddenly, a girl crashes the conversation. She declares that the bell cannot be restored, adding that even with her level of 290, she failed to fix it. She looks our boy in the eye and calls him a fraud. The story rewinds to a time before the chaos. A girl named Nell, also known as team leader Kim, drops a bomb on the Golden Shield Guild. She announces her resignation. Flame, the guildmaster, is in total disbelief. He asks why she is leaving so suddenly and whether she cares about everything they built together. Nell replies that she is completely burnt out. Flame tries to talk her off the ledge, insisting that if he manages to recruit the blacksmith Hyun-soo, things will turn around. Nell snaps back, telling him that his obsession is exactly the problem. She asks how they can justify offering 500 million won to a random player in just 1 year. Flame argues that Hyun-soo sold his first crafted sword for 50 million won, claiming his recruitment would be a rocket ship for the guild's ranking. Nell reminds him of their track record. The last blacksmith they brought in was a freelancer. The one before that ran off with the deposit. Another won the lottery and ghosted them. She lists their failures like a laundry list of disasters and warns him not to stand in her way. Flame hesitantly caves, assuring Nell that if she ever wants to return, the door is always open. The narrative shifts back to the present in Kasil. Nell arrives to find the village wrecked. She is shocked at how quickly destruction has overtaken the area. She thinks to herself that Kasil is special. To her, the villagers aren't just NPCs, they are real people. Nell believes that if they could only repair the Ramus bell, all this tragedy might be stopped. She decides to check the artifact one last time. Upon reaching the bell room, she is surprised to see Hyun-soo already there and immediately accuses him of being a fraud. Our hero is confused, asking who she is to judge him. Nell declares that she is a far higher ranked blacksmith than he is. Captain Cal steps in, telling everyone to chill. He introduces Nell as the expert blacksmith he mentioned earlier, then presents Hyun-soo as the hero who deleted the ghouls. The captain adds with pride that our boy has volunteered to repair the bell. Nell scoffs internally. She doubts a level 38 player who hunts monsters could fix a holy artifact that stumped the pros. She accuses our protagonist of trying to exploit Castle's desperate situation for profit. Hyun-soo ignores the noise and focuses on the bell's fragments. A system notification pops up, confirming that while the Ramus bell retains holy power, it is totally destroyed. Normal repair is impossible. Our hero concludes that restoration by conventional means is a no-go. Suddenly he grabs a hammer and smashes one of the fragments. Nell screams, begging him to stop destroying it. Hyun-soo stays calm, asserting that restoration is indeed possible. The high-level blacksmith is furious, asking if he even understands what unrepairable means. Just then, a soldier bursts into the room, reporting that the undead are swarming in overwhelming numbers. Everyone freezes. A system window appears. At first, our protagonist thinks it's a quest, but he soon realizes it's an update notification. The message announces that the Castle Region update has started. Once complete, the area will be permanently transformed into a land of the undead. Nell despairs, feeling it's game over. However, our boy tells her otherwise. He asserts that if they can reconstruct the bell before the update completes, they can stop the transformation. Nell declares it impossible, but our protagonist insists it can be done. He turns to Nell, challenging her directly. Was she not the one who wanted to protect Casil more than anyone else? Nell admits Hyun-soo is right, but she has no clue how to pull off such a miracle. Our hero tells her to follow him as he sweeps the shattered remains of the Ramus bell into his inventory. He says with real conviction that they will protect Casil together. Captain Cal tells Hyun-soo that he is counting on him, promising to hold off the monsters as long as possible. The scene shifts back to the blacksmith's workshop. Nell asks Hyun-soo what the plan is. Our protagonist outlines his theory. When he broke the first shard, the holy power remained, proving the energy is inside the material itself. He intends to melt it down and forge a completely new bell, believing the holy power will return stronger than ever. Nell remarks that she has never seen a method like this. Hyun-soo responds that repairing something isn't just about skill, it's about understanding the heart of the object. As the smelting begins, Nell is surprised. She wonders if he truly means to do all this labor manually. Our boy turns to her and asks why she's just standing there. He admits he can't do this without her help. Meanwhile, in the real world at the game developer's office, a dev monitors the Castle Region update countdown. Less than an hour remains. Kim Tae-suk, the senior developer, watches the screen intensely. A colleague scoffs that one person cannot flip the outcome, but their female teammate points out that Nell, a top-tier player, is helping him. As the fateful moment arrives, the battle rages. Captain Cal shouts for his men to hold the line. Exhausted soldiers drop one by one. A giant monster breaks through the defense, but Cal intervenes and slays it. He rushes to his wounded comrades, urging them to hang on. Amid the chaos, a fracture appears in Captain Cal's sword. He despairs as a monster leaps at him, believing it's the end. Suddenly, a powerful bong rings out across the battlefield. The undead freeze in place. They clutch their heads, shrieking in pain, before erupting into flames. The echo of the mysterious bell spreads through the entire region. Captain Cal yells in celebration that the Ramus bell has been restored. Back at the developer offices, an employee spits out his drink. On the screen, inside the workshop, Hyun-soo. Kim Tae-suk drops the info. Our boy hasn't slept a wink since the update countdown began a week ago. A flashback reveals the madness starting 5 days earlier. Hyun-soo went straight to the blacksmith's workshop in Casil, rallying the residents. He told everyone they would have to melt everything down to draw out the divine power. While Hyun-soo drafted the schematics, he put Nell in charge of herding the cats, organizing the workforce, and supplying the battlefield. Afterward, our hero activated the custom god crafting skill. He planned to juice up the bell's power against evil and add a specific attribute for nuking the undead. He directed the workers to stoke the furnace higher. Fueled by a shared will to protect Castle, every villager pushed forward. Hyun-soo reminded them to keep out every impurity. The workers poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the task. The days bleed into one another. From day 4 right up until the final hours, it's a blur. Nell stands watch, exhausted until she finally crashes. She wakes up with a start, shocked by how long she was out. Spotting the finished bell, Nell is amazed that Hyun-soo has been grinding non-stop for days. A system window pops up. Her apprentice title is glowing. Witnessing the process of a master craftsman has boosted her efficiency by 22%. Nell wonders in awe if this young man is truly a master. Hyun-soo notices she's awake and cracks a joke that she slept like a baby despite the noise. Nell protests, insisting she wasn't out for long. Our protagonist assures her they're nearly at the finish line. Unexpectedly, Nell asks him outright, "Is he the blacksmith Hyun-soo?" Our boy confirms it. He places his hand on the new bell. The The artifact glows with immense power as his special mark appears. Nell gazes in admiration. She says beautiful doesn't even cover it. It's a true masterpiece. A system message declares this is Hyunsu's second custom creation. It boasts unique, infinite durability, an artifact that was once deemed impossible to repair. Nell wonders if its history is the source of its power. She admits she's never seen anyone pull off a feat like this. Suddenly, Nell grabs Hyunsu's hands. She pleads for him to stay with her moving forward. Hyunsu, totally confused, asks if this is a confession of love. Nell flushes red in embarrassment and clarifies she means professionally. The scene snaps back to the critical moment in battle. Our hero strikes the newly forged bell. Waves of holy energy surge outward, frying the undead instantly. The monsters wail in agony as they're deleted from existence. The soldiers gasp, witnessing the miracle. A system message confirms that Hyunsu has crafted a new bell and destroyed the undead threat. He successfully halted the update and created a new storyline. Our boy shouts in triumph, "They did it!" He thanks God for making it in time. As the adrenaline fades, he collapses from exhaustion. Nell rushes to his side, frantically asking if he's okay. A system message states that the Repair the Ramus Bell quest is complete. Another window appears, noting that the rewards have changed due to the unprecedented achievement. Meanwhile, the Ares player community is buzzing. Someone posts, "The reason the castle region update failed," showing before and after photos of the tower. Players recognize Hyunsu as the creator of Hyunsu's first custom sword. They are stunned he repaired the Ramus Bell. Thousands begin following his workshop immediately. Hyunsu wakes in bed to the sound of endless notification spam. He glances at his interface and sees the workshop's follower count has exploded to 111,655. He's stunned. Our protagonist smiles. He realizes he made the right call by engraving his name on the bell. Now, everyone visiting Castle will see it. Free marketing. A knock comes at the door. Captain Cal enters, beaming. He declares that the savior of the region is finally awake. He announces that, with the Lord's blessing, he has come to deliver the reward. He hands Hyunsu a massive sum of gold. Our boy is speechless. The amount converts to roughly 330 million won. The captain explains that only a savior is worthy of such a payday. He also presents a box, a personal gift from the Lord. Inside, Hyunsu finds the legendary metal orichalcum. Our hero thanks the captain, but Cal shakes his head. He says it's they who owe him everything. He points out that unlike other outsiders, Hyunsu didn't flee. He stayed and defended them. The captain's gratitude is genuine. Our protagonist feels the sincerity. He reflects that the suffering of people in Ares is no different from the despair he's known in real life. Hyunsu prepares to bounce. He states he must return to where he lived before. The captain agrees without hesitation. Our boy decides it's time to reclaim his workshop in the real world. He logs out of the game. Captain Cal and his attendant watch the place where he vanished, commenting on how strange outsiders are. The next day in Gongju, Hyunsu meets real estate investor Kang Hak-soo. Kang checks his phone, which displays a notification. Mr. Hyunsu has deposited 330 million won. Kang turns to Hyunsu, shaken. He expresses genuine amazement that he actually pulled it off. The story rewinds to 1 year ago. Hyunsu sits with Kang Hak-soo, a real estate investor reviewing property papers. Kang runs the numbers. The damage? A cool 330 million won. He mentions having heard about the big fire and reassures Hyunsu that the insurance money should cover the hospital bills. The investor encourages the young man to keep his head up. As Kang prepares to bounce, Hyunsu asks if he can buy back the workshop. Kang does a double take. Our boy repeats his request. He explains that if he gathers the money, he wants Kang to offer him the property again. The investor advises that buying a burnt-out shell is throwing money down the drain. It would make more sense to buy a new place. Hyunsu insists. The workshop holds his father's memories. Moved by this sentiment, Kang cuts him a deal. He grants Hyunsu a grace period of exactly 1 year. However, he warns that once the year ends, the property goes to the first buyer with cash. Our protagonist thanks him. Kang tells him he'll be waiting for his call. Back in the present, Kang stares at the deposit notification. He admits he is impressed. Even though he made the offer, he honestly thought the kid was asking for a miracle. Hyunsu admits the 1-year deadline was just a guess. He knew the opportunity could vanish in a heartbeat. Still, Kang kept his word. Our hero asks why Kang was so chill with him. The investor responds that Hyunsu was the first person ever to ask about buying back a property immediately after losing it. Kang simply wanted to encourage that spirit. Hyunsu expresses his gratitude again. Thanks to this man, he didn't lose his father's legacy. He feels he must give something back. Hyunsu asks if Kang knows the game Ares. Kang laughs. Everyone and their mother talks about it. Our boy reveals that he is actually a blacksmith in Ares. Kang notes it's the perfect gig for him. Hyunsu offers a favor in return, a custom artifact. Kang asks for a custom piece, regardless of the stats. Our protagonist promises to deliver whatever he wants. Later, inside the game, Hyunsu enters a tavern. Nell waves him over. It's their first reunion since the undead incident. Nell complains that tracking him down was a nightmare. Hyunsu apologizes, but she laughs, saying she's just teasing. Nell drops her resume, introducing herself properly as the former chief strategist of the Golden Shield Guild. She claims she built the guild into what it is today. She adds that after witnessing Castle, she is certain of one thing. Hyun-soo will be a top-tier ranker. The strategist gets straight to the point. When our boy establishes a guild, she wants to be its first member. Our hero jokes that she was calling him a scammer just a few days ago. Nell apologizes but insists anyone would have misunderstood. Hyun-soo assures her he was joking too. He looks forward to working with her. Before they part, Hyun-soo decides to spill his plans. Nell is stunned when our protagonist reveals he's going to meet Sword King Barad, one of the 10 legends. Our boy confirms he will enter the Goyad martial arts tournament. While eating, he wonders if the winner really receives their prize directly from the king. Nell confirms this, though she looks worried. She explains that the tournament is a gathering of sweaty tryhards and promising talents. It's a serious event. Hyun-soo just shrugs. That's exactly why he has to win. Nell wonders how he can eat under such pressure. Our protagonist reassures her, saying not to worry. He'll aim for the top using his special tea, leaving her totally confused. The day of the Goyad martial arts tournament arrives. Tournament head Bakel welcomes the fresh meat. He announces the tournament will begin as soon as he steps down. At that point, the participants must face the monsters. Bakel adds that although the king cannot be seen, His Majesty Sword King Barad is watching from the shadows, so everyone had better be on their best behavior. He wishes them luck. A system window pops up announcing the official start. In the arena, contestants brace themselves. The initial mission is to withstand an onslaught of golems for 1 hour. Many players leap eagerly into battle, thirsty for easy XP. Another system window appears, declaring the first trial. Whoever defeats the level 109 stone golem will earn a reward. One participant screams, questioning the insane difficulty. He comments that the first round should be a walk in the park. Another player rushes in, shouting, "First come, first served." He is instantly crushed by the golem and forcibly logged out. Panic erupts. The contestants try to dodge, but they're deleted one by one. It's a massacre. Players realize this event is nothing like what they were told. Many wonder in terror how anyone is supposed to beat a level 109 monster right at the start. Hyun-soo watches the chaos while others curse their luck, realizing they've been scammed. Elsewhere, tournament head Bakel realizes the tournament is a dumpster fire. A stone golem from the high-level tournament has accidentally spawned in the beginner arena. Bakel fears a total wipeout. He rushes off to see His Majesty. Bakel bursts into the chamber, calling for Sword King Barad. He insists the tournament must stop immediately. Yet Sword King Barad refuses. Bakel is confused. The king interrupts, telling him to look at the screen. Barad points to a specific warrior on the battlefield. He orders Bakel to watch that guy closely. In the arena, Hyun-soo fires a glowing arrow that smacks the stone golem. It is revealed that this is his third custom creation, the orichalcum aegis. This special arrow defies physics, returning to its user after being fired. Other players are losing their minds, asking aloud how an arrow can possibly come back like a boomerang. Our protagonist feels satisfied. The arrow, his reward from the Kazal region, performs exactly as hoped, all thanks to the legendary orichalcum. Our boy fires the arrow again, and it hits the golem once more. On its way back, the projectile nearly decapitates another participant. The player screams at Hyun-soo, asking if he is trying to kill him. Hyun-soo quickly apologizes. Because of the hit, the stone golem is stunned for 4 seconds. Players shout that the monster is stuck and urge everyone to gank it immediately. Contestants launch a barrage of attacks, spells, and strikes, but the golem shakes them off quickly. It unleashes a furious roar and begins a savage counterattack. Participants scream, warning each other to dodge as the golem goes into full rage mode. It locks onto our hero, charging straight toward him like a freight train. One player cries out that they just need to survive a little longer, while another yells at our boy to run for his life. Players take heavy blows and struggle desperately to stay in the fight. At the last moment, our hero switches to his daylight sword, determined not to fold. He tanks the golem's massive strike, but the impact slams him into the ground. Above, tournament head Bakel pleads with Sword King Barad, suggesting the tournament should end now since the participant seems to have hit his limit. The king watches with growing interest. Suddenly something wild happens. Despite hitting the deck, Hyun-soo activates the emergency god crafting skill again. The process finishes instantly. He creates Damascus World 2, a temporary weapon designed specifically to cut stone. With a single powerful blow, our protagonist deletes the stone golem. The Damascus sword vanishes immediately afterward, as it was only a temporary item. At the same time, Hyun-soo is bombarded with notifications. He is startled to see his level jump by 14 in a split second, an insane XP dump. Other players stare in shock, unable to grasp how he managed to one-shot the monster. Hyun-soo asks them, genuinely confused, if they weren't supposed to kill the creature. The contestants reply that the goal was simply to survive. The trial has 3 stages, and the high-level golem's appearance had already thrown everything out of balance. They explain that the golem was something to endure, not defeat. Our boy finally understands that he accidentally broke the event. Suddenly, his vision blurs, and he passes out cold from mana exhaustion. Other players gather around, noting that while he is collapsed, he hasn't been logged out. They discuss his specs. At first they thought he was multi-skilled, but now they suspect he is actually a weapon master. They wish they had even a single weapon as broken as his. At that moment, Bakel announces to all participants that due to an organizer's error, the Goyad martial arts tournament is suspended. He orders everyone to exit the arena. News of Hyunsu's feat spreads online like a virus. Thousands tune in to the live stream, watching him lie unconscious in the arena. Viewers marvel at how he managed to solo the stone golem and clamor for details about his gear. Someone goes full CSI mode, noticing that Hyunsu dropped his arrow. Zooming in, they spot his name engraved on it. The chat connects the dots instantly. This is blacksmith Hyunsu, the guy who repaired the unrepairable bell in Kasil. They are amazed, questioning how a blacksmith can be this overpowered. Meanwhile, in the offices of the shareholder company, the customer service team is in ticket hell. They are swamped with questions about why the tournament was suspended. The staff can only reply that it was a decision made by Ares' free will. They speculate it might be linked to internal drama in the Goyad kingdom and apologize repeatedly. In the development department, an employee tells her team leader that there is a major issue. He replies distractedly that he's busy, but she insists. The Goyad tournament is suspended. He shrugs, saying they expected the glitch. The employee urgently clarifies the real problem. King Barad is summoning user Hyunsu. The team leader is stunned. He wonders aloud how they can meet so soon, since tournaments usually require a lengthy process. The employee confirms that Hyunsu is already en route to the reception hall. The team leader realizes he is in for another all-nighter. He mutters that this user breaks all logic. His actions are simply unpredictable. He wonders what will happen if Hyunsu completes Sword King Barad's request and maximizes their affinity. He concludes that, in that case, Hyunsu could master the Sword King's art and become the strongest blacksmith ever. The team leader notes that it won't be easy, as the decision rests on Barad's AI, but his colleague has a hunch that our protagonist will succeed. This alarms the team leader, who tells her not to jinx it. The next day in the game, Hyunsu is escorted to the throne room. He thinks that meeting Sword King Barad so soon is unexpected. Hyunsu kneels before the king, who addresses him as stranger. Sword King Barad explains that normally, the prize would be presented before a crowd. However, due to the incident, he asks for understanding in keeping things low-key. He adds that by tomorrow, everyone will recognize Hyunsu's outstanding performance as a weapon master. But Hyunsu suddenly stands up, interrupting the king. Our hero speaks directly to Barad, stating he heard the king was looking for him. The royal guards lose it. They are outraged at such boldness, insisting this kind of arrogance cannot be tolerated regardless of his achievements. They question how he dares to interrupt his majesty. Hyunsu responds calmly, declaring that he is blacksmith Hyunsu. The guards' anger intensifies as they prepare to throw him out. Sword King Barad, however, raises his hand, ordering them to stand down. The king confirms that Hyunsu is precisely the guest he was hoping for. Hyunsu stands before his majesty, Sword King Barad. The king, one of the 10 legends of Ares, tells him he is late. Our protagonist replies that the journey was hell. Barad asks if he knows why he was summoned, and our boy guesses it is to commission a sword. The king confirms it. Sword King Barad reveals that the kingdom's best blacksmiths, including Tower Master Daeng, have all failed this task. Because of this, he asks why Hyunsu should be trusted. Under immense pressure, our hero answers that he has only one thing to offer. He has come this far relying solely on his skill. Barad laughs loudly. Impressed by the stranger's guts, the king decides to bet on Hyunsu's confidence. He orders his men to bring out the goods. A glowing chest is placed before him. Inside rests 100-year-old cold iron, a rare ore that has absorbed extreme cold for a century. It grants both fire resistance and unique ice properties. Hyunsu stares at the metal. It looks like something straight out of a martial arts novel. Sword King Barad lays out his terms. He wants an epic grade or higher sword that radiates frost. The king promises that if he is satisfied, he will grant Hyunsu whatever he wishes. However, he warns that if he is disappointed, our boy will be banned from the Goyad kingdom for life. A quest window pops up. The king's commission. The terms are simple but heavy. To pass, he needs the king's acknowledgement. The reward is massive, one wish granted by the Sword King. But the penalty for failure is brutal, immediate expulsion. Our protagonist accepts the quest, assuring the king he won't let him down. Later, inside the blacksmith's workshop, Hyunsu feels eyes burning into the back of his neck. Turning around, he notices a girl watching him like a hawk. She is Bella, vice captain of the Goyad Kingdom's Knights, level 301. Although he knows he is a stranger here, our hero finds this supervision creepy. Yet, he realizes their distrust makes sense. Bella instructs him to pretend she isn't there. With a sarcastic smile, Hyunsu asks if his discomfort is that obvious. She answers bluntly, yes. Bella silently questions what this kid thinks of himself. She remembers that His Highness has placed his final hope in this outsider, and she swears that failure is not an option. Our boy feels the pressure mounting. Suddenly, a doorbell rings inside the game interface. Hyunsu is puzzled until he realizes it is an alert from the real world. Hyunsu opens the door to his apartment and is surprised to see his landlady. She explains that she has decided to sell the house because her husband lost his job. They need to liquidate assets fast. She apologizes profusely. Hyunsu tells her not to be sorry and asks for the timeline. She tells him he needs to vacate within 2 weeks. The lady feels embarrassed, but he assures her he lived well there. After she leaves, our protagonist repeats the deadline, 2 weeks. He feels crushed. Even though he's earned decent coin in Aries, his expenses are drowning him. His father's hospital bills are in the millions, and buying back the burnt workshop cost him 330 million won. On top of that, he hasn't even started his own burn treatment. Our hero hits rock bottom, wondering where the hell he's going to go. At that moment, his phone rings. It's Nell. She asks what he is doing, saying she has a killer idea regarding the quest. Hyun-soo asks her to call back later, explaining that his head is a mess. Nell senses something is off and presses him. Our boy admits that while the quest is huge, he's getting kicked out of his house in 2 weeks. Nell, irritated, reminds him how crucial this quest is. She explains the stakes. Right now, the internet is debating whether the Goyad tournament champion and blacksmith Hyun-soo are the same person. She suggests he keeps quiet for now. When he finally reveals the truth, it will cause an absolute sensation. She emphasizes that he has a commission from Sword King Barad, one of the biggest NPCs in the game. Nell urges him to imagine the moment Barad reveals a new sword engraved with Hyun-soo's name. That is the moment his value will skyrocket. That is why she's betting on him. Our hero thanks her. He admits she slapped some sense into him and promises to grind his hardest. Hyun-soo returns to the game. He finds Bella shouting at him, clearly pissed. She demands to know why he is only returning now. Hyun-soo, confused, asks what happened. Bella drops a bomb. His Royal Highness Sword King Barad is trapped in the dragon's nest. Stunned, Hyun-soo asks exactly where the king is trapped. Bella looks at him as if he has 2 heads. She wonders how he can act surprised when he doesn't even know where the place is. Hyun-soo shrugs, saying he thought he should at least read the room. Bella tells him to cut the comedy because time is running out. She explains that Flame Nest is the general term for the fire-type monster region. Within it sits the Ifrit dungeon, a death trap from which no one except His Majesty has ever returned alive. Our protagonist is confused. He wonders why the king would enter a dungeon he has already cleared, especially since he doesn't have his new weapon yet. Bella drops the truth. His Majesty's target of revenge is inside. The word revenge catches our boy off guard. He did not expect to hear something that heavy regarding the king. The scene shifts to the Flame Nest. Sword King Barad arrives, struggling with his injuries. He stands before the dungeon gate, knowing that beyond it lies the real fight. The king realizes that even his current sword is trash against what is coming. He's relieved his men got out safely, but he knows reinforcements are at least 3 days away. Sword King Barad smiles bitterly. He thinks that perhaps he should have waited for the stranger to finish the sword. A sad memory flashes through his mind. He wishes his son, Ban, were still alive, realizing Ban would have been the same age as that young man, Hyun-soo. The day his son died in his arms replays in his mind. In the memory, Ban calls out to his father, bleeding out on the dungeon floor. Barad asks his son why he came to such a dangerous place without telling him. Ban explains that he thought conquering the dungeon would make him a son his father could be proud of. Ban realizes too late that he was too weak. Barad shouts that there is no need to apologize, begging him to hang on, but Ban whispers, "I'm sorry," once more, before taking his last breath. The memory ends with the king holding his son's lifeless body in total despair. In the present, Sword King Barad makes his choice. Even though it would be safer to wait, he cannot let Ifrit slip away. He has waited years for the monster to show its face and is determined to finish it. With heavy steps, the king marches steadily toward the burning dungeon gate. Back in the workshop, Bella explains the stakes. Since the prince's death, His Majesty has tried every possible way to hunt Ifrit, but the monster has remained elusive. She adds that this might be His Majesty's last chance. Bella admits frankly that trusting a stranger like Hyun-soo is hard for her, but if His Majesty has entrusted this task to him, there must be a reason. Then, as a knight of the Goyad Kingdom, Bella bows and begs our hero to save her king. A new emergency quest pops up titled, "A Sword That Can Save the King." The requirements are straightforward. Accept Bella's request. The reward is increased trust, but the penalty for failure is absolute, the death of Sword King Barad. The mission objective is crystal clear: make a blade that can save him. Our protagonist thinks about Sword King Barad's tragic story. He remembers how he too lost almost everything in the flames of his own past. He wonders if he could have moved on if he had lost his family the way the king did. With determination, Hyun-soo tells Bella that he is all in. He immediately begins working. Our boy strikes the metal with his hammer and dips it in water. He recalls the lore. Ifrit's heat can melt even unique grade weapons like butter. He concludes that he must create a weapon that surpasses unique grade. Our hero decides to focus on the effect of the 100-year-old cold iron, aiming to amplify its unsolvable properties. As he works, a system window appears, stating that his understanding of the ore has deepened. Another message announces that the spirit of the blacksmith has been activated. The message explains that while making this blade, Hyun-soo has immersed himself in the work more than anyone else. His passion, determination, and empathy have brought him to a state of complete focus. He is in the zone. As a result, the system announces that our protagonist's first legendary grade sword is being forged. A blinding light explodes from the workshop. Bella shields her eyes, wondering if it is finished. Hyun-soo stands there, holding the glowing new sword. It pulses with a frigid aura that drops the room's temperature instantly. He declares that now it is time to save his majesty. Meanwhile, in the flame nest, Sword King Barad screams in pain as he takes a heavy hit. He falls to his knees. Determined to end things today, the boss of the dungeon appears before him amidst the flames. It is Ifrit, level 490. King Barad claims he has no idea how long he has waited for this showdown. He dashes forward. Ifrit roars, and the brawl between the king and the fire demon kicks off. Sword King Barad manages to tank Ifrit's attacks, but the monster's overwhelming power pushes him back. He is stunned to realize that Ifrit's sword is forged from pure flame. A brutal combo follows, leaving Barad open. Ifrit screams, unleashing a firestorm that forces the king to retreat, laughing in his face. Barad kneels, cursing his luck. He thinks it's game over. As Ifrit winds up to deliver the final blow, hurling a massive spear at the fallen king, a giant icy sword intercepts the attack. Hyun-soo and Bella enter the chat just in time. Bella urges the king to use the new sword. Grasping the weapon, Sword King Barad sees a system window pop up detailing the legendary sword for Sword King Barad. The stats are absolutely broken. 343% resistance against fire attributes, 194% attack power with ice attributes, and a massive bonus against fire monsters. It also features a busted active skill called Frost Flower. Our hero encourages the king to unleash its power. Sword King Barad grips the hilt, and the blade radiates freezing energy. He triggers the Frost Flower skill. A wave of ice sweeps across the battlefield, freezing Ifrit's attacks on contact. The monster screams as the frigid energy counters his heat. Declaring the battle over, the king advances. His icy sword clashes with Ifrit's fiery body, shattering the flames like glass. Ifrit is shaken. Barad delivers the finishing blow, deleting the demon. A system window announces that the boss monster has been vanquished. Sword King Barad finally catches his breath, but it isn't over. As Ifrit's body begins to glow, Hyun-soo wonders what is happening. Bella realizes the danger. Some monsters have a self-destruct mechanic. The ensuing explosion wrecks the dungeon, catching the king in the blast zone. Bella yells for him to escape, but Sword King Barad orders her back. Looking at a locket containing his son's picture, he decides to check out here. Though Bella wants to save his majesty, she cannot disobey a direct command. She freezes in place. Our protagonist steps up. He conjures a flame-resistant shield with his skill and walks straight into the inferno. The king tells him to turn back, but Hyun-soo refuses. He insists he came to leave with the king and isn't retreating. Our hero asks if the king's decision is because of the person in the locket. Barad confirms this, admitting his son is gone because of his own failure. He questions how he can even go on. Our boy drops some truth. He says that while he will never truly know that specific grief, he almost lost a beloved family member himself, his father, who is now in a coma. Hyun-soo shares how he used to pray every day for his father to wake up, but now he is simply grateful the man is still alive. He assures the king that his son must feel the same way. Hyun-soo embraces the grieving father, telling him to let his son rest in peace. The king sees a vision of his smiling son and apologizes, realizing his mistake. Our protagonist softly tells him he must live, asking if he shouldn't strive to become a father his son could be proud of. King Barad agrees. He realizes he cannot become a shameful parent. Smiling, he tells Hyun-soo to go. Together, they escape the collapsing flames. Bella rushes to them, asking if his majesty is alright. Hyun-soo assures her the king is safe and says he will return soon. At that moment, a system message announces that Hyun-soo's HP has hit 0. He is being forcibly logged out. Our hero reassures Bella that strangers do not die. Then, he fades away in a burst of light. Bella watches in shock as King Barad collapses into her arms. The king whispers that the boy saved him. Bella cries out his name as Barad passes out with a peaceful smile. Hyun-soo wakes up in the real world. A system message informs him that due to the forced logout penalty, his level has dropped by 1. Our boy looks at his bandaged hands, tears in his eyes. He swears to his father that he will keep moving forward. Meanwhile, deep in a coma, Sword King Barad finds himself face to face with his son, Ban, who is no longer of this world. They meet in a lush green field that stretches endlessly. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out, "Father." It is a sound he has yearned to hear for so long. The darkness surrounding Barad vanishes. He finds himself standing in the light as Ban runs toward him, smiling brightly. Moving forward slowly, Barad asks, hope filling his voice, if it is really his son. Ban gently assures him he is there but explains he has come to say goodbye one last time. Hearing this, Barad's heart sinks. He cannot accept it. He clings tightly to Ban's hand, terrified he'll lose him again. In a trembling voice, the king asks what this last goodbye means. Ban softly reminds him of what his friend Hyun-soo said. He expresses his wish for his father's happiness, urging him to stop blaming himself and to live his life fully. As Ban finishes speaking, his body begins to dissolve into particles of light. Barad cries out his son's name in pain but is powerless to stop the fade. Suddenly, the king wakes up, gasping for air and still calling Ban's name. His 2 loyal companions, who have been tending to him for 3 days, exclaim in shock. They rush to his side, anxious about his condition. Barad collects himself. In a heavy voice, he tells them his son appeared in a dream to find peace. He declares that this miracle is thanks to that boy, and immediately orders his companions to summon Hyun-soo. Later, in a quiet room filled with sunlight, a guard announces Hyun-soo's arrival. Our protagonist enters, bows respectfully, and asks after the king's health. Barad assures him that he feels great and invites him to sit. He reveals that he called Hyun-soo to discuss something important. Speaking seriously, the king acknowledges that outsiders like Hyun-soo are immortal, able to respawn even after death. However, he insists that immortality does not erase the fear of dying. Pain is still pain. Looking directly at our boy, he asks why he risked his life to save him. Hyun-soo answers honestly. He explains that he saw the same burden and sorrow in the king's eyes that he carries himself. He sincerely wanted Barad to choose to live. The king contemplates these words, repeating, "A burden like me." When he asks about the second reason, our protagonist shyly scratches his head. He admits he was confident that saving the king would come with a massive reward. Barad's lips curl into a faint smile at the word confidence. He remarks that the answer reveals true guts. He agrees, and announces that the reward will surpass all expectations. Barad hands Hyun-soo a sealed scroll, explaining it is the price for the exceptional sword he forged. As soon as our hero opens the scroll, a blue system window pops up. It states that he has received 1 million gold. For a moment, our boy is stunned. This sum equals roughly 1.7 billion won. It is a fortune that changes his life instantly. The king insists that because the sword truly saved him, the reward is well deserved. Hyun-soo bows, expressing heartfelt thanks. Barad invites him to sit again, speaking with fatherly warmth. From now on, he promises to live his life fully so that when he meets Ban again, he will have no regrets. He hopes Hyun-soo will do the same, living strong for his own father. The king encourages our boy to keep visiting the palace, and Hyun-soo agrees eagerly. Pleased, Barad says that Hyun-soo has given him new strength and asks if he may consider him a close friend. At that moment, a system message appears. Hyun-soo's affinity with King Barad has hit the maximum level, granting him the friend's blessing. Our protagonist realizes what an honor it is to befriend a legend. Grasping the king's hand, he expresses how meaningful this bond is. To mark their friendship, Barad drops a bomb. He declares his intention to teach him the family's swordsmanship. Knight Commander Benson loses it. He questions how the king can pass on such precious martial arts to a stranger. The commander reminds him that Lord, the top ranker, has already been chosen as the successor and has begun training. He argues that only the worthy may learn this skill. The king responds calmly that he is not giving this knowledge to just anyone, but to someone who has proven himself. A new skill quest called Sword King's Swordsmanship appears before Hyun-soo. The terms are simple. Our hero must land 3 or more valid attacks on Knight Commander Benson to prove his worth. The prize? The legendary Sword King's Swordsmanship. Barad announces that Commander Benson will personally test Hyun-soo and gives him 2 days to prepare. After logging out of the game, Hyun-soo immediately pays all his father's hospital bills with his prize money. With relief, our boy leaves his cramped old apartment and moves into a better crib. He thanks his former landlady for her patience and repays her generously. Once his tasks are handled, our protagonist calls his friend Kim Ji-han to invite him to dinner. Ji-han expects another meal of instant noodles but is amazed when Hyun-soo meets him at a luxury restaurant. Ji-han jokes that after such an expensive meal, he's seen everything in life. Hyun-soo smiles, telling his friend that he wanted to treat him properly for all he's done. During dinner, he hands Ji-han a gift bag containing the luxury Hermes shoes Ji-han has long dreamed of owning. Surprised, Ji-han asks where he got the cash. Our boy tells him it's just a small gift, and adds that he has also transferred the funds for the game capsule back to Ji-han's account. Delighted, Ji-han hugs the shoebox and thanks his friend. Our protagonist feels that his life is truly changing. When his friend gets emotional, Hyun-soo jokingly silences him, insisting they eat before the meat gets cold. 2 days later, Hyun-soo's test begins in the training hall. Commander Benson instructs him to draw his weapon, making it clear there will be no favoritism. However, our protagonist pulls a pro move. Instead of producing a ready-made sword, he takes a piece of raw metal from his pouch. He calmly announces that he's looking forward to the challenge. Benson is confused, but Hyun-soo grins. He isn't a swordsman yet, he's a blacksmith, and he's going to fight his way. The piece of metal radiates a brilliant light, leaving Commander Benson and the other knights stunned by the intense heat coming from Hyun-soo's hands. When the glow finally fades, a simple-looking sword rests in his grip. Benson quietly admits to himself that he expected something legendary, but all he sees is a glorified iron stick. The commander steps forward to attack. He mocks our boy, asking if he truly thinks he can defeat the kingdom's knight commander with such a plain weapon. Yet, the moment their blades clash, Benson senses something is wrong. The durability of Hyun-soo's sword is critically low. Upon impact, the fragile blade explodes like a frag grenade. Countless fragments scatter through the air, flying like shrapnel and slipping through the gaps in Benson's armor. They strike his body in dozens of places at once. He screams in both pain and surprise as the shards nick his skin. Fortunately, the commander escapes any fatal wounds, but the message is clear. Calmly, Hyun-soo explains the loophole. His task was to land valid attacks, not to win the duel outright. System messages pop up, confirming 59 successful hits on the commander in a single second. Our protagonist points out that the rules didn't forbid this fragmentation method. Shocked, Benson examines the scratches on his armor. He admits he never would have imagined such a cheesy but clever tactic. Addressing Hyun-soo as Lord, he asks for his true identity. Our hero drops the mic, declaring himself the god of blacksmiths. At this revelation, Benson and the other knights bow before him, declaring it an honor to meet the god himself. Feeling awkward at the glazing, Hyun-soo urges them to stand up. Hyun-soo undergoes 2 weeks of rigorous grinding under Benson and King Barad. Thanks to this intensive regimen, he learns the Sword King's swordsmanship skill. In addition, his sword stats spike significantly. Since his player level is still low, it allows for rapid progress. However, he is only able to master the first 3 chapters: Beast's Aura, Raging Wave Sword, and Sword's Cry. The king promises that when our boy's level increases, he will teach him the rest. After training ends, Hyun-soo meets with King Barad again. Now that he has proven himself, he makes a request. He asks for 100-year-old cold iron, the rare material used to craft the king's legendary sword. Barad thinks about it, then drops the bad news. He would gladly give it to his friend, but the piece used for his sword was the last one in the kingdom's treasury. Disappointed, our protagonist realizes his future crafting plans might be bricked. Seeing his expression, the king smiles and tells him not to lose hope. He reveals that more cold iron can be found at its original source, the dangerous Frost Mine. Barad suggests that Hyun-soo go there to harvest it himself. Our hero wonders if he can solo such a perilous place, but the king resolves this by ordering his loyal companion, Bella, to tag along. Bella initially refuses, insisting her job is to protect the king, but Barad assures her that this quest will help her grow stronger. Accepting the royal command, she prepares to travel with Hyun-soo. Soon after, the king publicly announces his victory over the Ifrit tomb before a crowd of players and nobles. The community is impressed, praising Sword King Barad as a true legend. Some sharp-eyed players, however, go full detective mode. They notice the magnificent sword he wields, exuding a unique icy aura. Using their evaluation skills, they discover the name Hyun-soo engraved in small letters on the blade. This catches everyone's attention. It is the same name that appeared on the martial arts tournament winner's arrow. Players begin discussing blacksmith Hyun-soo intensely on the forums. The mystery only deepens, as no one knows his age, level, or even gender. A hilarious rumor starts spreading. Hyun-soo is actually a sweaty, chubby man in his 40s who spends all day hammering in a workshop. Meanwhile, in the real world, our boy checks his smartphone. Thanks to King Barad's speech, his workshop's follower count has surged past 300,000. He thinks that if the truth were revealed, that the tournament winner and blacksmith Hyun-soo are the same person, the internet would break. For now, he decides to keep his identity on the down low. Before setting off for the frost mine, Hyun-soo sends a message to someone he hasn't had the chance to thank. Elsewhere, the wealthy real estate investor Kang Hak-soo sits in his office. He is thinking about the news that King Barad has finally cleared the Ifrit tomb. Kang always believed that dungeon was impossible for current players. He remembers his own failed attempts to enter, where all his expensive armor melted like candle wax. He laments that although he has money, he lacks the gear to fulfill his ambitions. At that moment, Kang receives an in-game message from Hyun-soo. The message states that the blacksmith is reaching out to fulfill his promise and craft him armor. Kang Hak-soo's face lights up. He immediately recognizes that this is the savior he has been waiting for. Kang Hak-soo pauses, trying to recall which promise Hyun-soo is talking about. Then it clicks. He remembers their earlier discussion in his office about an artifact. Kang quickly messages Hyun-soo to say he's ready to fulfill his end of the bargain. He asks if there are any changes to the specs, since he plans to submit the request soon. Privately, Kang Hak-soo wonders if the boy can actually make the piece he wants at his current level. Hyun-soo replies that the specs are locked in. The investor then asks about Hyun-soo's current level, and our protagonist responds that he's at level 59. Hearing this, Kang feels a sting of disappointment. For a crafter, those are rookie numbers. He ends the chat politely, wishing Hyun-soo luck. Sitting back in his office, Kang Hak-soo sighs. He thinks that despite the low level, the kid has a bright future. A decent investment, perhaps. Just then, Kang's eyes catch a news article praising Hyun-soo the blacksmith. The article states that this mysterious craftsman played a key role in King Barad's victory over Ifrit, as the king's weapon was made by him. Kang briefly considers sliding into the DMs of this famous blacksmith for a commission, but he quickly kills the idea. He figures someone who turns down requests from top rankers would never bother with a casual like him. Still, he feels frustrated, knowing the deadline for his class change quest is ticking down. Ultimately, Kang decides to stick with his current connection, totally unaware that both Hyun-soos are actually the same guy. Meanwhile, Hyun-soo and Bella arrive at the frost mine. Our hero is blown away by the landscape. It's a sparkling ice world, glimmering with cold brilliance. A system message pops up, announcing that he's the first user to enter the mine and rewarding him with double XP for a week. Hyun-soo grins, stoked to be the pioneer and claim the buff. He asks Bella if she's visited before. The vice captain replies that it's her first time too. Noticing her cold vibe, our protagonist senses a wall between them. Suddenly, a young man with a pickaxe steps into their path. He demands to know how they got in, insisting that no one enters without permission. Bella steps forward, introducing herself as the vice captain of the Royal Knights while flashing the royal seal. The young man, clearly shaken, introduces himself as Banya, a miner. Hyun-soo simply introduces himself as a blacksmith. Banya says he's glad to see strangers in such a lonely place, but explains that no one can enter the main mine without his father's approval. Concerned about a delay, our hero listens as Banya suddenly smiles and offers to take them to meet his father, the chief of miners. On their way, Hyun-soo notices a massive, crystal-covered monster trapped behind a barrier. Banya explains the lore. The place is like a dungeon where monsters once roamed freely until a wizard sealed them inside the barrier a decade ago. Gazing at the monster, Hyun-soo asks if the crystals growing on it are 1,000-year-old cold iron. Banya confirms it but warns him not to get greedy, as getting too close is a death sentence. Inside the barrier, monsters still lurk. Anyone can enter, but few come back alive. Though the miners suspect the best ore lies inside, they prefer working safely outside. At last they arrive. Banya points out his father, Captain Rek, and informs him of the guests before leaving. Hyun-soo approaches the captain, who is level 231. Rek notes the weird pairing of Bella and our protagonist and asks what they want. Our hero explains that he's seeking ore even more valuable than 100-year-old cold iron. The captain is startled. Though Rek knows of such a treasure, the 1,000-year-old cold iron, he's hesitant to spill the beans to a stranger, not wanting chaos in his quiet mine. Rek asks if Hyun-soo has ever mined before. Our protagonist shakes his head. The captain explains that an average miner extracts about 3 ores a day, then makes an offer. If Hyun-soo can extract 40 ores within a week, he'll share information about the rarest ore. A Grade A quest window pops up titled, The Test of the Mine Captain. The task is to extract 40 ores in 7 days. If he fails, he loses the chance to learn about the rare material forever. Rek asks if he accepts the challenge. Hyun-soo clenches his fist and doubles down, asking what would happen if he extracts even more than 40. Rek scoffs, saying it's impossible, but he promises that if Hyun-soo pulls it off, he'll personally extract the rare ore for him. He sets one condition. Hyun-soo cannot get help from any companion. Our protagonist accepts, determined to prove him wrong within the week. After Hyun-soo and Bella leave, Rek scolds his son Banya for eavesdropping, dragging him away by the ear. As they head to the worksite, Bella questions Hyun-soo about provoking the mine captain. Extending his hand, our hero explains that he came prepared. He materializes an advanced glowing mining axe. Hyun-soo's eyes sparkle as he grips the handle. Bella privately thinks that His Majesty has befriended a total oddball. A week later, Rek sits alone, convinced the stranger will never emerge from the mine. The task should be impossible for a novice. Suddenly, footsteps echo at the entrance and a shadow steps into the light. Rek is stunned to see Hyun-soo, completely covered in soot. The captain sneers, joking that at least he looks like a miner now, but then demands to see the receipts, since the deadline has arrived. Hyun-soo asks for a moment. Rek laughs internally, sure the challenge was a bust. But then our hero extends his hand and dumps a massive pile of ores before him. Staggered, Rek stares at the sparkling mountain in disbelief. Wiping soot from his face, Hyun-soo calmly reveals he collected 200 pieces in total. Recoiling in shock, Rek demands to know who he truly is, suspecting he might be a legendary miner in disguise. Hyun-soo simply grins. Holding his glowing axe with ease, he replies that he is just an ordinary blacksmith. A system window pops up displaying the weapon's stats. It is a unique grade Damascus sword and axe. It boasts a durability of 12,000 and an attack power of 332, plus a special ability that increases cutting power against stone by 170%, while reducing durability loss by 70%. This is a tool our protagonist designed specifically for mining, equipped with a mechanism that transforms it into an axe whenever needed. Seeing the mountain of ore, Captain Rek realizes that Hyun-soo completed the challenge in his own unique style, not as a miner, but as a blacksmith. Rek formally apologizes for underestimating our protagonist and invites him to dinner. Hyun-soo grins and gladly accepts, asking if Lady Bella might join them. Rek agrees without hesitation. Later, at a lively tavern, Bella quietly knocks back her drink. Both Banya and our hero urge her to take it slow, but the vice captain insists she is just chilling. At that moment, a burly miner bumps into Hyun-soo, demanding to know if he truly extracted 200 ores. Our hero laughs and confirms it. The other miners swarm him, eager for the tea on the meteorite ore. Hyun-soo reveals that he managed to extract about 20 pieces of the rare material as well. Everyone is stunned. One worker mentions rumors about a special axe and asks to see it. With a flourish, Hyun-soo summons his Damascus axe. It appears in his hand with a burst of light. He explains that the tool was designed solely for mining, and that it boosts his efficiency by over 200%. Demonstrating its transformation into a sword, he adds that this form cranks up his rock-cutting ability even further. As Hyun-soo geeks out over his creation, Bella watches with mild amusement. She reflects that a blacksmith is always a blacksmith. He loves his tools more than people. The miners, fired up by his achievements, declare that if a noob can pull this off, they have to step up their game. They gather around, celebrating and welcoming him as a true member of the crew. Later, Rek leads Hyun-soo and Bella to a secluded section deep within the mine. He reveals that this spot is where the millennial meteorite ore lies buried. Hyun-soo looks toward the magic barrier, confused. He reminds the captain that he said it was impossible to go inside. Rek nods. The ore is located inside the sealed area. When our protagonist asks how they are supposed to mine there if entry is forbidden, Rek simply tells him it's his problem now. He announces that he's off to check a nearby mine and tells them to find him later. As the captain leaves, a system window pops up titled, "A New Story Begins." Startled, Hyun-soo reads the messages. They explain that 100 years have passed since the wizard Phelan created the barrier, and now the magic is failing. The warning is dire. The monsters trapped inside are enraged, and the barrier will break in just 3 minutes. Alarmed, our hero calls out to Rek, urging him to stop. Hyun-soo yells that the barrier is about to fail and everyone needs to get out. Rek, thinking it's a prank, waves him off. But suddenly the mine shakes violently. Rek, Hyun-soo, and Bella stare in horror as cracks zigzag across the ceiling. Rocks tumble down and the tunnels begin to collapse. Realizing the danger, Rek finally reacts, shouting for everyone to evacuate. Cries for help echo through the dust. The other miners refuse to flee, unwilling to leave their brothers behind. Rek grabs his axe, rallying the others to save their crew. Caught in the chaos, Hyun-soo wonders what his next move should be. Suddenly, a new quest appears, an S-rank quest exclusive to him for triggering this chapter. The penalty is brutal, the death of the miners. The objective is to save the 96 miners whose lives are on the line, with rewards based on the survivor count. Grinding his teeth, our protagonist hates how the system treats these NPCs like mere stats. To him, these people are real. Determined, Hyun-soo summons his sword and tells Lady Bella to cover his back if he misses a monster. Bella, surprised, asks if he isn't afraid. Our hero smiles, reminding her that strangers, players, do not die. He explains the plan. He will hold the dungeon entrance alone to prevent any monsters from reaching the upper levels. Standing before the crumbling barrier, Hyun-soo sees the enraged stone monsters through the cracks. He realizes his Damascus sword alone won't be enough against the horde. He decides to forge a new weapon on the spot to stop the monsters cold. He activates his emergency god crafting skill, pouring mana and a large quantity of ore into creating a great sword of cold iron. Just as the countdown hits 0, the barrier shatters completely. Hyun-soo shouts, "Come on!" and braces himself for the onslaught. A stone troll, level 1 of 13, a stone orc, level 107, and a stone wolf, level 1 of 10, charge toward him. Knowing that his newly crafted weapon will disappear after a single use, but that its special ignore defense effect is active, our hero stands firm. He vows that as long as he stands, not one monster will get past him. Brandishing the massive blade, Hyun-soo leads the charge. He unleashes the Frost Storm skill, a sweeping, icy attack that surges forward with incredible force. The storm freezes nearby monsters, catching a stone wolf mid-leap as jagged ice spikes tear through its body, ending the threat instantly. However, after this devastating strike, the great sword of cold iron shatters. Our protagonist stares at the remaining hilt in his hand, surprised. Although the weapon was a last resort, he realizes that with the right materials, such a creation could have a massive impact. But there is no time to dwell. Many monsters still lurk inside the gate, yet his main concern shifts to the workers. Elsewhere, deep in the collapsed mine, miners dig desperately to rescue their trapped companions. Voices echo through the dust. Some urge others to keep digging, knowing the injured must be saved. Cries for help pierce the air, but the workers refuse to abandon anyone. Their resolve is unwavering. One miner calls out to reassure the trapped crew, urging them to hold on just a little longer. A system message appears, stating that the reward will depend on the number of survivors. It prompts Hyun-soo to save the miners. Our hero watches the frantic rescue efforts and clenches his fist. To him, these workers are no longer just numbers in a quest. They remind him of himself, risking everything to save his father. These people are sacrificing themselves for their loved ones, just as he once did. With renewed determination, Hyun-soo stands before the dungeon entrance, now swarming with monsters. He resolves to protect the miners at any cost. Realizing that fighting near the workers is dangerous, he decides to draw aggro. He sprints toward a different section of the dungeon, shouting to get their attention. The plan works. A group of stone orcs and wolves break off to chase him. Once he has led them far from the others, our hero turns to face the horde. Drawing his Damascus sword, he dives into a fierce battle. He evades attacks with agility, landing precise blows and narrowly dodging a giant hammer that smashes the ground at his feet. With decisive strikes, Hyun-soo drops both a wolf and an orc in one motion. Another massive stone monster swings its hammer, but our protagonist slices the weapon in half before finishing the beast with a devastating blow. Suddenly surrounded by another wave of enemies, our hero smiles confidently. Now is the time to use his true skills. Grateful for everything he learned from the Sword King's swordsmanship, he activates the Raging Wave sword skill and charges into the fray. A storm of rapid slashes follows. His cuts turn into blue waves that rip through the monsters. The enemies fall one after another. As he fights, a system message pops up, noting that the skill deals 10% extra damage, reaching 140% on vital points. He pauses briefly to catch his breath, realizing the technique is even more broken than he thought. After dispatching the last monster, Hyun-soo collapses, exhausted, among the corpses. As he catches his breath, system messages appear. One proclaims the mine dungeon has been cleared, while another announces the completion of the surprise quest, confirming that all 96 miners have been rescued. He has achieved exceptional results. A faint smile crosses his lips. He is relieved to know everyone is safe. However, a new system message quickly grabs his attention. It hints that by manipulating the situation, he can receive a huge reward from the mine captain. Our hero reads the message, puzzled by what it means to manipulate the situation. He rises slowly, supporting himself with his sword. While Hyun-soo believes that everyone's safety is reward enough, he can't ignore the possibility of an even greater prize. A sly glint appears in his eyes. An idea begins to form. Outside the collapsed mine, Rek pulls an injured companion from the rubble. He stands before the survivors, announcing that they can finally rest. Everyone is safe. Relief and joy sweep through the miners as they embrace each other, hardly able to believe they made it. As the workers celebrate, Bella weaves among them, searching for Hyun-soo. When she can't find him, she quietly tells Rek the bad news. It seems Mr. Hyun-soo lured the monsters away and entered the dungeon alone. Rek looks at her in surprise. He repeats the name Blacksmith Hyun-soo, as if finally realizing something huge. Suddenly, Rek calls all the miners together. He announces that Blacksmith Hyun-soo single-handedly drew the monsters away to save them. The news stuns everyone. One worker wonders aloud if he really went in alone, realizing that is why no monsters appeared during the collapse. Rek grips his axe. As their leader, he admits he feels deeply ashamed. He tells the group their families aren't truly safe yet, and orders all able-bodied miners to follow him into the dungeon immediately. The miners respond with determination. Led by Rek and Bella, the rescue party enters the dark tunnels with torches, calling out for the blacksmith. Suddenly, a miner spots him. Hyun-soo sits slumped against a cave wall, looking utterly wrecked. Concerned, everyone rushes to his side. Rek asks if he's alright, while Banya cries out that he looks badly hurt. Bella gets there first. She sits beside our hero to check his vitals, silently scolding him for his reckless behavior. However, she is shocked to find his pulse steady. He is totally fine, despite looking like death. Rising, she turns to reassure the worried workers. She is about to announce that Mr. Hyun-soo is okay, but before she can finish, he gently grabs her hand. He whispers for her to wait, stopping her from blowing his cover. He lets out a pained sigh and gets up slowly, acting weak. Hyun-soo assures everyone that he is fine. He explains the fight was brutal, but he managed to delete all the monsters. Turning to Rek with a weary expression, he asks if everyone made it out safely. Rek clasps his hands tightly, tears shining in his eyes. He thanks our protagonist warmly, apologizing for forgetting about him in the chaos. Rek confesses his shame, cursing himself for giving Hyun-soo nothing but food and drink, while the stranger risked everything to save them. Hyun-soo responds quietly. He says that Rek and Lady Bella treated him like family, and witnessing their devotion to one another, he couldn't stand by and do nothing. He adds that he's truly relieved everyone is safe, then coughs slightly to really sell the act. Rek calls him a foolish friend, and declares that none will ever forget Blacksmith Hyun-soo's kindness. Meanwhile, Bella sits to the side, utterly bewildered. She is convinced he was perfectly fine a moment ago. Rek helps our hero to his feet and urges the men to carry their savior inside, saying there is no time to talk. A system window pops up, stating that the mine captain and 95 workers will forever remember him. Later, as Rek assists him, our protagonist reflects with satisfaction that everything played out just as he hoped. His scheme to milk the drama was a total success. Bella watches suspiciously. As Rek helps him along, Hyun-soo catches her eye and flashes a sneaky thumbs up. Rek, meanwhile, shouts joyfully, promising to dress him in the finest clothes. From behind, Bella seethes with frustration. She finally realizes she's been played by a scammer from the very beginning. Later, our hero wakes up in a room and stretches. He remarks on how well he slept. Suddenly, Banya crashes the party, bursting in and screaming his name. The young miner hurriedly asks how long Hyun-soo has been awake, then dashes out to inform the crew. Hyun-soo glances around in confusion, wondering just how long they've all been waiting for him. The mine captain rushes in next. He anxiously checks Hyun-soo's condition. Our boy assures him that he's fine and asks about everyone else. Rek responds that all the miners are safe but insists Hyun-soo should focus on resting. Then, recalling the earlier mention of leaving soon, Rek hesitates. He admits the timing isn't great but says there's something huge he wants to share. Hyun-soo sits up, intrigued, and encourages him to spill it. Rek turns to the door, inviting everyone inside. The miners pour in. Rek announces that today, they'll mine for Hyun-soo alone. Our protagonist is taken aback. He repeats the statement in disbelief. Rek explains that this is their way of repaying his kindness, since he risked his life for them. The miners promise to extract the millennial cold iron he's been searching for. Moved, Hyun-soo asks if they really mean it. Rek confirms. Hyun-soo smiles, saying he only did what was right, but gives thanks sincerely. Thinking that was all, Hyun-soo is surprised when Rex signals the others to give them space. He adds that there is one more matter. Rex suggests his son should speak for himself. Banya, looking incredibly nervous, stammers before gathering his courage. He addresses Hyun-soo, correcting himself to Savior. The young miner introduces himself formally, then bows deeply and asks for permission to follow Hyun-soo. While Banya remains kneeling, system messages pop up before our boy. They announce that worker Banya swears eternal loyalty to Hyun-soo, noting his potential to become a legendary miner. The system offers the option to accept him as a follower. Our protagonist is stunned, repeating the word follower to himself. The scene shifts to the game company's VIP user management team. A female employee is in panic mode. She laments that all this is happening while her manager is away. She exclaims that player Hyun-soo has done it again. Staring at her screen in disbelief, she wonders how it's possible, since he's neither a guild leader nor a territory owner. Falling onto her desk and tearing her hair out, she realizes a legendary tier NPC wants to become his follower. She knows she's in for another long night. Back with Hyun-soo, he urges Banya to stand, insisting he isn't that special. But Banya refuses. He explains that he saw everything firsthand, how brilliantly our hero used the Damascus axe, and how courageously he sacrificed himself to save the miners. Banya says this character compels him to respect Hyun-soo above all else. He promises to wield his pickaxe for our protagonist and mine for him forever, begging to be accepted as a servant. Looking at Banya, Hyun-soo recognizes the sincerity in his words. When Banya asks anxiously if he's being rejected due to a lack of skill, our boy quickly reassures him. He explains the issue isn't Banya, but himself. He isn't qualified to lead anyone yet because he lacks a base of operations. He asks Banya for some time to establish a headquarters and promises to send a messenger when the time comes. Banya nods, eyes shining with hope. Hyun-soo smiles, inviting him to join officially when that day arrives. Banya jumps up, thanking him warmly. A system message confirms that Hyun-soo has accepted Banya as his follower. The young miner hugs him tightly. Another message announces that he can now view Banya's stats. A large info window opens. It reveals that Banya is an epic follower at level 165. He boasts a remarkable mining power of 1,672 and possesses numerous passive and active skills, including Detect Rare Minerals and Tireless Miner. The system describes him as destined to become the world's most exceptional miner, the future GOAT of mining with outstanding growth potential. Hyun-soo smiles, realizing he's gained a powerful new ally thanks to Banya's sincerity. Eagerly, Banya asks when they'll meet again, clarifying he doesn't mean to rush. Our hero reassures his new follower that it won't be long. Banya pledges that until then, he and the other miners will keep stockpiling resources. He requests that Hyun-soo speak comfortably with them. Our boy agrees, promising to call Banya by name from now on. Rek watches the scene with a proud smile. Outside the mine, the miners gather by a glowing blue portal. System messages inform Hyun-soo that he has obtained 45 iron and 51 cold iron. Rek approaches, revealing a massive pile of glowing blue ore with an air of anticipation. He announces that this is Millennial Cold Iron. Standing beside the enormous pile, Rek displays the item info window. It is Millennial Cold Iron unique grade. It requires a level 300 blacksmith or higher to process, and the difficulty is labeled Extreme. This material offers incredible special effects, 91% fire resistance, upgrades ice skills to unique grade, plus 150% sharpness and a 58% boost in skill attack power, and infinite durability. The description emphasizes that this iron, buried for 6,000 years, makes ordinary cold iron look like trash. Hyun-soo gazes at the ore heap in awe. Bella leans over, whispering that he must feel proud of his accomplishment. He quickly asks her to keep it down, wary of how someone might misinterpret her words. Rek returns to express his profound gratitude. He admits he never dreamed of mining Millennial Cold Iron in his lifetime, and credits Hyun-soo entirely. Our protagonist beams with confidence. Together with Bella, he moves toward the portal, thanking the miners for everything. The workers urge him to stay longer, assuring him he's always welcome. Just as they're about to leave, Banya runs after them, calling out tearfully. Hyun-soo turns, saying he was just about to give the boy something. He presents his special Damascus axe to Banya. Inside, our hero notes that this axe is programmed with a special feature. The more Banya mines with it, the more minerals Hyun-soo automatically receives as rental fees. Banya is stunned to be handed the axe Hyun-soo once bragged about. Overwhelmed, he swears he'll follow him for life. Our protagonist nearly feels guilty about his hidden profit motive. Behind them, the miners continue their wild celebration. As they step through the portal, our boy reflects on Bella's earlier accusation of him being a scammer. Despite that, he risked his life for the miners, and, in the end, earned their trust. Before leaving, he turns to Bella. She quietly admits that what he did was actually a little cool. Hyun-soo, surprised, asks if she really means it. She confirms it, making it clear she's talking to him. A few days later, the scene shifts to Salamander's den, a place alive with fire and a massive flaming portal. Inside, Kang Hak-soo, the real estate investor, sits in despair. He sighs, lamenting his luck. He has lost count of his failed attempts. Frustrated, Kang thinks even an 11th rank blacksmith couldn't craft the fire-resistant armor he needs. He spots a messenger bird approaching and assumes this dungeon raid has also failed. The bird lands in front of him. Suddenly, a system message announces that Hyun-soo has sent him a gift. Kang repeats the name in surprise. He recalls that Hyun-soo is still only level 59, so he assumes the gift won't be anything crazy, though he appreciates the gesture. Accepting it, he's shocked when the gift window opens. His eyes widen. He wonders if what he's seeing is even possible, or just a system error. Kang Hak-soo smashes the accept button. The item materializes in his hands, a custom-made shield from Hyun-soo, gleaming with unique grade glass. On the screen, the shield's stats pop up. Holding the artifact, Kang immediately recognizes our protagonist's insane talent. Noticing the design inspired by Medusa's hair, he realizes it's modeled after the Aegis, the legendary divine shield from mythology. It is a true masterpiece. Just then, a quest timer appears. Less than 2 hours remain. Kang thinks to himself that our boy never stops surprising him. With renewed confidence, he declares that with this artifact, maybe he can finally clear the dungeon. He stands and heads for the gate, stepping into Salamander's dungeon. Meanwhile, at the castle, Nell tells Hyun-soo that thanks to him, she has finally reached the reception hall of the Goyad Kingdom. Our hero responds humbly, stating it was only possible with Mr. Beekle's help along the way. Nell changes the subject, asking if he's been well lately. Hyun-soo admits that after his trip to the frost mine, he spent most days caring for his father. Nell shows sympathy, commenting on how exhausting that must be. She asks if there's been any sign of his father waking up. He explains that his father's consciousness hasn't returned yet, but he refuses to give up hope. After a respectful pause, Nell brings up the guild. Hyun-soo agrees to discuss it. She suggests they should keep the group small and elite for now. She explains their first goal should be to make him the most famous blacksmith in the kingdom. Nell argues that teaming up with much higher level players too soon will only hinder their own goals. She insists that the fastest way for a guild to grow is to create a star, and that star will be him. She asks if he has anyone specific in mind as a founding member. Hyun-soo mentions his friend Kim Ji-han, who first introduced him to the game, though he admits he hasn't gotten close to other users. Nell assures him they'll build those bonds together. Then he remembers someone else. He says there's one more person. She prompts him for a username. Hyun-soo realizes he doesn't know it. He explains the man never shared his in-game name but is known as Mr. Kang in real life. Nell says she's never heard of him and asks about his level. Hyun-soo admits he never asked about anything except his job. Nell questions how he can recommend someone for the founding team with so little info. Our protagonist defends his choice. He explains that when he was at his lowest, Kang gave up his own benefits so Hyun-soo could start over. He insists that Kang is someone he's deeply grateful to. Nell wonders if this person runs a business. Hyun-soo confirms it. Nell warns that he might not realize his own value in Ares. She suspects the businessman could be planning to use him to launch an in-game enterprise, or even take over the guild. Our hero shakes his head. He states firmly that Kang would never do that. He is sure his friend isn't the type to betray him. Nell agrees but insists the final decision should be hers, provided she gets to meet Kang as well. Hyun-soo accepts the condition. Nell gives him one last warning. Don't reveal he's blacksmith Hyun-soo yet. Our boy freezes. He awkwardly confesses that he already put his name on the gift he sent recently. Nell stares at him in disbelief. Meanwhile, inside the Salamander dungeon, the heat is intense. A lizard-like monster charges at Kang Hak-soo, but he blocks it with his new shield. With a burst of strength, he shatters the creature. Kang fights efficiently, amazed by his vastly improved defense. He marvels at how the shield includes every feature he requested. Inspecting the back, he finds a symbol etched into the metal, the name Hyun-soo. Kang can't help but wonder how many times Hyun-soo will surprise him. He asks himself how he'll ever repay such generosity. Suddenly, a monstrous hand rises from the lava, swatting him across the chamber. Before him stands the Fire Queen, a massive flaming avatar. She gathers a fireball and hurls it at him, shaking the entire place as noxious fumes fill the air. When the smoke clears, Kang remains unharmed, protected by the artifact. The monster's voice booms through the chamber. She notes how interesting it is that he blocked her attack and demands the name of the shield's forger. She launches a barrage of attacks, but Kang dodges and blocks each one. The Fire Queen threatens that if he refuses, she'll hunt not just his avatar, but his real self. While dodging, Kang considers that if her true form hunts him, he might have to quit the game. Still, he resolves not to betray Hyun-soo. With determination, he leaps over the queen's head. She sneers, observing that he doesn't fear death, and swipes at him. The attack lands squarely on the shield. Kang thinks that his life isn't worth dying over a secret, yet a red warning flashes. The Fire Queen avatar has cast Death Hand. The devastating impact crushes Kang. The queen mocks him, asking if he's really willing to die for a single artifact. Kang's HP drops to critical. He thinks to himself that this is no ordinary item. It's Hyun-soo's artifact. Suddenly, a golden message appears. The shield responds to his will. Kang shouts that this is a gift from his friend. Energy surges through the shield, driving the Fire Queen back in confusion. A spear of ice materializes in Kang's hand. He's achieved the hidden skill, Frost of Aegis. Enraged, the queen gathers an enormous fireball and taunts him. Another red warning signals that she's preparing powerful magic. Kang hurls the ice spear with all his might, leaping skyward. The queen doesn't react in time. The spear pierces her head, and she crumbles to ash. Kang Hak-soo has defeated the Fire Queen and cleared the Salamander dungeon, earning the Crimson Dragon armor. A system message confirms he has acquired a hidden piece and completed a secret trial. Breathing hard, he reads the message announcing that, despite being in danger, he refused to reveal his comrade's identity. He earns the title, Growing Warrior. A story progression reward appears. Kang stares at it in disbelief, wondering if this is truly a hidden class promotion. A stream of notifications floods Kang Hak-soo's screen. Messages declare him a flawless attacker and announce his achievement of an epic class. The final notification states he's been promoted to Growing Warrior. It is a class that can ascend to the 10th rank of legend, dedicated to protecting what's precious by any means necessary. Kang is amazed. The class feels as if it were custom-made for him. He realizes the dungeon was a hidden quest. As the environment dissolves, a screen notes he hasn't joined a guild yet and recommends several. Kang decides he has a lot to discuss with Hyun-soo. Later, Kang walks into the inn decked out in his new armor, drawing surprised looks from the crowd. Our protagonist calls out to his boss. Around them, people whisper. They speculate that Kang must be a top-tier player judging by his gear. Nell, watching from a corner, assumes this must be Bark. Judging by his artifacts, she quickly concludes he's the real deal. She reminds herself to be cautious, especially since Hyun-soo mentioned that the man runs a business. Kang approaches Hyun-soo and thanks him, explaining that thanks to our hero, he managed to clear the quest. He admits he never suspected Hyun-soo was the one behind the gift. Nell moves to intercept, worried about him spilling the beans, but Kang pauses, noticing the many eyes on them. He announces he'll pick up the tab and suggests they move somewhere private. They relocate to the Goyad Kingdom private lounge. While eating, Kang gets straight to the point. He tells our boy that he figured out his identity from the name carved into the shield. The blacksmith is indeed Hyun-soo. Nell, observing, notes that Kang certainly doesn't beat around the bush. Our protagonist nods, saying he didn't want to hide anything from Kang, which is why he left his mark on the artifact. Kang places a hand on Hyun-soo's shoulder. He confesses that he already suspected the truth when Hyun-soo offered to buy back the forge. Now, after everything, he realizes just how powerful our hero really is. Kang adds that during his quest, when others wanted the artifact, he told them it was a gift from a friend. Our boy thanks him. Kang assures Hyun-soo that since he values his privacy, he'll take the secret to the grave. Witnessing this genuine bond, Nell feels a twinge of regret for her earlier suspicions. She apologizes for the late introduction, presenting herself as Nell, Hyun-soo's manager. She admits she misjudged Kang. Kang is surprised by her formality. Nell explains she was worried he might try to exploit our protagonist, knowing they were business partners. Kang laughs. He admits she's not entirely wrong. There are people who'd take advantage of someone like Hyun-soo. He reveals he'd thought about forming a guild, but never wanted to profit from their partnership. Seeing that Hyun-soo already has trustworthy people by his side is enough for him. Our protagonist then invites Kang to join his guild. Kang is surprised. Hyun-soo explains he wants them to grow together and share the joy of reaching the top. Kang grins and accepts, promising to protect Hyun-soo from now on. He introduces himself. Username Bark, level 311, class Growing Warrior. He adds that he might even reach Legendary class. Nell shouts in shock at the mention of a legendary class. Hyun-soo introduces himself as well, stating he's level 80 and his class is God of Blacksmiths. Kang is floored. They shake hands. Our hero mentions they haven't chosen a guild name yet, but he's looking forward to working together. Kang smiles and calls him Boss Man. Nell watches with satisfaction. Kang warns that if they keep talking, their food will turn into ice blocks. Still, he insists on repaying Hyun-soo and sends a transfer through his screen. Our protagonist protests, saying there's no need, but his eyes pop out when he sees 400 million won sent directly to his account. Shocked, he asks why Kang would pay so much for a single shield. Kang laughs, insisting that accepting such an artifact without compensation would be robbery. He quickly changes the subject, asking about guild plans. Nell jumps in, explaining that her first priority is to make blacksmith Hyun-soo famous. Kang immediately recognizes the strategy and calls it smart. He asks for the details. Nell shares that they'll feature the hottest, most scandal-free, and most handsome user on a live broadcast, none other than Hyun-soo. Our boy asks if she really just called him handsome. He wonders if the broadcast is a prank, but their expressions make it clear they are dead serious. He thinks to himself that this could be a problem. After Ares went global, Purium Corp began working with broadcasters, flooding TV and online platforms with Ares content. Among them, AJ Internet Broadcast Station once led the ratings by streaming live in-game content. Inside the station, employees are in chaos. One notes falling ratings while the other explains that's why he brought in a special guest. He reveals that blacksmith Hyun-soo declined to appear in person, but agreed to respond through the martial arts tournament champion. He adds it might be their last chance to save the show. They scramble to prepare for the broadcast. Comments start pouring in as users eagerly anticipate the show. Viewers joke about the legendary Room of Truth, where avatars appear as their real-world selves. The broadcast begins. Host MC Tumps welcomes everyone back and announces today's guest, the martial arts tournament champion. He promises viewers a real treat. Comments explode with excitement. MC Tumps, in the station's usual high-energy style, skips the intro and immediately invites Mr. Hyun-soo to enter the room of truth. Then Hyun-soo appears. The chat erupts, but not as anyone expects. Question marks fill the screen from confused users. Even our protagonist feels something's off. He asks Mr. Tumps if the chat is broken. Suddenly, the comments shift to pure thirst. Viewers declare he's hot, claiming his looks are driving them crazy. Seeing the flood of remarks, our boy blushes, stammering in embarrassment. One commenter, Rowoon, asks when the blacksmith will appear. He even donates 500,000 won for the question. Hyun-soo stares at the screen, baffled. The comments soon reveal that Rowoon is none other than Korea's #1 forge master, Kilma. Hyun-soo can't help but think it's all pretty wild. The story rewinds to the past. A few days earlier, inside the Black Anvil Smithy conference room, 4 high-ranking members sit around a table. Sylvia, a guild member, breaks the silence. She asks who this blacksmith Hyun is and why they had to call an emergency meeting during their busiest season. Dox, another member, asks if she's been living under a rock. He explains that this blacksmith is the hottest topic in Aries right now. The guy reached stardom after crafting a sword for Sword King Bharat. Vaughn chimes in, arguing that the Black Anvil Guild doesn't need to feel threatened by a single user. Dox counters, suggesting it wouldn't hurt to be careful. He proposes they recruit him before his fame explodes further. Finally, the guildmaster, Rowoon, speaks up. He states that he has heard their opinions regarding blacksmith Hyun, but he will only make a decision after seeing the man in person. Back in the present, Hyun-soo stares at the broadcast screen. He spots a comment from Rowoon, who asks when blacksmith Hyun will appear, and donates 500,000 won. The chat is losing its mind. Even our boy is taken aback by the whale donation. MC Tumps stands up excitedly, thanking Rowoon for the cash. He announces that a big shot has joined the broadcast, none other than the master of the #1 domestic smithy guild and the second-ranked blacksmith. Jokingly, he says that viewers couldn't pay to see a VIP like this, and urges them to open their wallets. Suddenly, another donation pops up, 100,000 won from blacksmith Hyun. The message states that he will accept the interview through Hyun-soo today. MC Tumps shouts in excitement, declaring that blacksmith Hyun has arrived just in time. Our hero smiles to himself. He realizes Nell has set the stage perfectly. With that donation, she has convinced the audience that our protagonist and the blacksmith are two different people. MC Tumps shifts back to the main topic and asks our boy to introduce himself properly. Hyun-soo answers that he is 23 and currently grinding games full-time. When the host asks about a girlfriend, he admits it would be nice to have one. The chat immediately floods with donations from users volunteering as tribute. Riding the hype, MC Tumps drops into a dramatic tone to ask questions about the mysterious blacksmith. He inquires about blacksmith Hyun's job. Our protagonist remembers Nell's advice to keep up the act. He pretends he's speaking to Hyun via an earpiece. Pressing a hand to his ear, he pretends to listen, then relays the answer. The man is a blacksmith, but his age is a secret. When asked about height and weight, Hyun-soo listens to the imaginary voice and reports that both are classified. The comment section gets salty, complaining that everything is a secret. Speculation about the stats begins. MC Tumps whispers frantically to our hero, worried the broadcast might flop. Sensing the mood, our boy realizes he needs to switch gears to keep the audience hooked. Hyun-soo quickly declares that the blacksmith would like to introduce himself through his work. MC Tumps, confused for a moment, asks if he means himself. Our protagonist hurriedly clarifies that it's Hyun speaking through the earpiece. Recovering quickly, the host says that's perfect. He has prepared content to showcase blacksmith Hyun's work. He clicks a panel and announces a fantasy collaboration. Tournament winner Hyun-soo and blacksmith Hyun teaming up for the Time Attack Dungeon mission. The rules are straightforward but brutal. Blacksmith Hyun must craft 3 artifacts within 10 days, and our hero must clear the dungeon using only those artifacts. The chat fills with skepticism. Viewers point out that making 3 items in such a short time is nearly impossible. Even a top-ranked blacksmith would struggle to produce more than common-ranked trash. MC Tumps thinks to himself that this high-stakes content is exactly what could revive his channel. Suddenly, Rowoon donates 1 million won and adds a challenge. He'll pay 1 million won if a rare item appears, 3 million for epic, and 10 million for unique. He asks if he can place this mission bounty. MC Tumps gasps at the offer. Rowoon adds another condition. If they fail, they must reveal information about the sword made for Sword King Bharat. The host calls it crazy content. Rowoon waits, eager to see if they can prove themselves. Listening to his earpiece, our protagonist announces that the blacksmith accepts the mission. Later, Nell sits quietly, reading community feedback while our boy rests. She tells him the community is buzzing about him and asks how it feels to be famous. When he zones out, Nell snaps him back to reality by grabbing his shoulder. She asks what kind of amazing item he's planning to make. Our hero says he's still cooking. He explains that he intends to create a rare grade item at minimum, but since Rowoon raised the stakes, he wants to flex by aiming for a unique grade. Nell notes that the community is treating this as a duel between blacksmith Hyun and Rowoon. Our protagonist insists it isn't really a duel, but she stops him. She argues that it has already become a versus match. Nell explains that if he clears the mission, aside from the donations, his fame will go to the moon. Black Anvil will likely try to recruit him. Hyun-soo asks what happens if he fails. Nell bluntly replies that his value will tank because the specialness will vanish. Our boy stands up. He declares he'll succeed no matter what. He thanks Nell for the motivation and ushers her out, saying he needs to focus on crafting. Standing outside, Nell wonders if he truly just kicked her out. 10 days later, inside the Time Attack dungeon, the landscape is crawling with orcs and goblins. The broadcast is live, with over 80,000 viewers tuned in. A staff member whispers to writer Kim, asking if these are their peak days. Kim quietly hopes the content will be a hit. MC Tumps announces the start of the first stage. About 40 monsters wait below the cliff. The mission is to break through them and destroy the red jewel on a hill 400 meters away. He notes that the current first place holder is Prow, ranked 7th in the unified rankings, with a record of 1 minute and 23 seconds. If our hero sets a new record, he'll receive a prize of 10 million won. The chat erupts in excitement over the prize money. The countdown begins. Hyun-soo stands on the cliff, looking down at the horde. He mutters that the artifact he'll showcase today isn't a bow or an arrow, but a gauntlet. Equipping the new item, he draws his bow. Thanks to the gauntlet, his strength has increased by 111, and his attack range has expanded significantly. Hyun-soo releases the arrow. The massive strength stat buffs its penetration and destructive power. The arrow tears through the monsters, clearing a path instantly. It flies 400 meters to shatter the red jewel floating in the air. A notification appears, confirming a new record in the Time Attack Dungeon Stage 1, 41 seconds. MC Tumps congratulates him and announces that since a new record was set, he has won the 10 million won prize. Our hero smiles at the camera. He thanks the host but corrects him, explaining that the amount he'll be receiving is actually 20 million won. MC Tumps asks for clarification. Hyun-soo looks into the camera, reminding Rowoon about the bet. He reveals that the gauntlet is unique. Watching from his screen, Rowoon sits in stunned silence. A comment from Rowoon appears, demanding immediate details about the artifact. Hyun-soo agrees and raises the gauntlet, which shines with a brilliant golden light. He opens the status window for viewers, revealing it is indeed a unique grade item. Upon seeing this, Rowoon sends a sponsorship of 10 million won right away. Hyun-soo thanks him for the generous support. He announces that the blacksmith has an exciting proposal to auction off the artifact live, right now. Rowoon instructs his subordinates to keep an eye on the situation and report any important developments. Our protagonist launches the auction, stating the blacksmith wants to start the bidding at 10,000 gold. At first, the chat goes completely silent. Our boy looks uncertain, wondering if the starting price was too high or if Nell's strategy has backfired. Just as he begins to worry, a bid comes in at 15,000 gold. The bidding takes off like a rocket, quickly climbing to 40,000 gold. Hyun-soo bows to the camera, thanking everyone on the blacksmith's behalf, though he is inwardly thrilled by the enormous payout. He instructs bidders to send their final offers directly to the shop. MC Tumps addresses the audience, thanking them for their patience as the second stage begins. He mentions that the auction is still ongoing and encourages viewers to look forward to the next artifact. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, our hero now faces a level 121 Cyclops. The monster hefts its enormous stone weapon. Hyun-soo leaps high, aiming for its head. The Cyclops tries to swat him from the sky, and commenters speculate that our boy might be toast. However, he lands safely. Then he leaps again, clashing his sword against the monster's club. The Cyclops' weapon shatters on impact. Seizing the moment, our protagonist slices the creature from head to toe, deleting it instantly. The chat erupts in amazement at his skill in taking down such a tanky foe. Hyun-soo turns to the camera. He relays a message from the blacksmith that the second item's grade isn't especially impressive. Despite that, the viewers clamor to see it and urge him to stop trolling them with false anticipation. He reveals the great sword. It is only normal grade. The audience is baffled by the dramatic drop in quality. They question why there's such a massive gap between the unique gauntlet and this vanilla sword. Our boy laughs awkwardly, agreeing that it is disappointing. Privately, he knows the truth. Using his skill, God's emergency crafting twice in a row triggered a hidden penalty, nerfing the item tier by 2 levels. He thinks it's unfair since there was no warning about this mechanic. While watching the broadcast, Rowoon mutters that maybe the blacksmith simply got lucky with the first item. At that moment, he receives a call from his guild boss. The boss asks if he's watching and suggests that despite the letdown with the second artifact, they should still try to recruit the blacksmith. Rowoon proposes a signing bonus of 2 billion won. The boss agrees. Rowoon wonders if it's overkill but decides it's better to secure skilled talent just in case. However, Rowoon pauses when he notices a detail on the screen. The Great Sword's item description mentions it unintentionally received a penalty. He stares at the text, unable to figure out what that means. Back on the broadcast, MC Tumps hypes up the crowd. He praises our hero for clearing the second stage so cleanly. He announces that the final stage won't be a walk in the park. A large number of boss-level monsters are about to appear. Hyun-soo must avoid them and reach the flag on the hill. The main threat is a level 138 werewolf, renowned for its incredibly tough hide. The host notes the success rate for this stage is under 20%, and even the current record holder barely scraped by. Listening to the explanation, our protagonist mutters that there's no point crying over spilled milk regarding the earlier weapon failure. Determined, he decides to focus on the final stage. Commenters joke about having ordered chicken for a long show and urge him to get started. Ignoring suggestions to run away, our boy declares he has no intention of fleeing. The crowd is puzzled by his confidence. Hyun-soo announces that with his next weapon, he intends to hunt them all down. Blue energy begins swirling in his palm, forming the shape of an arrow. The viewers dismiss it as a bluff. Suddenly, a horde of wolves appears, snarling and roaring. Hyun-soo aims the energy arrow and fires. He hits one wolf right in the eye. The others charge, their strength overwhelming, but the arrow detonates in a massive blast, wiping the entire pack off the map. Satisfied, our hero nods, glad that this item was crafted correctly. The chat explodes. They demand to know what just happened and beg for the stats on the weapon. Hyun-soo introduces the third item. He explains that it's the 1,000-pound bow, crafted in the style of the legendary bow said to have shot down the sun and moon in Jeju Island mythology. Jeju Island exists as a folktale shared by the father of Hyun-soo during the protagonist's childhood. The legend states that centuries ago, the world possessed 2 suns and 2 moons, plunging the world into total disorder. To resolve this, Sobyul Wang, the king of the upper world, reached out to his elder brother, Daebyul Wang, who reigned as the king of the underworld. To fulfill his brother's dream, the elder brother came to this world and used the 1,000-gun bow to bring down 1 sun and 1 moon. That story made Hyun-soo more curious about the bow itself rather than the brothers. In that moment, he thought of making the weapon himself and shared this ambition with his father. Later on, when our boy grows up, he attempts to craft it using his knowledge and Ares technology. He faces a significant challenge regarding the weight of the bow, as he is unable to determine how much personal strength he needs to increase to wield it. Then our protagonist thinks of a solution. Instead of putting weight into the arrow itself, he decides to increase the weight of the enemy after they are struck by an arrow. To complete the craft, Hyun-soo uses a special type of wood acting as a material for special abilities, successfully creating a new type of 1,000-gun bow. Now in the present, our hero is fighting his enemies and killing them one by one. Moving forward, Hyun-soo kills 10 werewolves, which appears amazing to the host who cannot believe he eliminated all these werewolves with a single arrow. The chat goes crazy over the feat, claiming it is their first time experiencing such a thing. Suddenly, our boy finds the atmosphere inside the forest suspicious. As he tries to understand the change, a group of werewolves charges toward him from the dark. No trace of fear appears on the face of our hero as he prepares to attack, but then his body begins to tremble. Hyun-soo cannot understand the reason for this, so the system explains that his body is giving a fear response due to the roar of a powerful predator. The system also announces the start of a new story. King of Werewolves, Fenrir's fragment of level 178, is descending. Whoever hunts it down will receive plenty of rewards. Looking at the screen, the host appears terribly scared while the chat discusses Fenrir, who is famous as a legend in Ares. Our protagonist's body does not work properly due to the fear of the beast. Fenrir attacks our boy using its blood claw, resulting in an injury. The system announces a bleeding effect due to the previous attack. Between the fear and the bleeding, the physical abilities of our hero worsen. Seeing his strength decreasing, Hyun-soo uses his items and gains a strength stat of 111. At this moment, Fenrir uses Claws of Destruction on our protagonist, which seems quite dangerous. Looking at the situation, the audience and the host worry about Hyun-soo and wonder if he will survive this attack. After making the strike, the werewolf stands looking for our boy, who has just vanished. Out of nowhere, Hyun-soo counterattacks Fenrir, calling it his decisive move. He attacks right at the eye of the wolf, making it fall to the ground, yet it still tries to catch our hero with its other claw. Dodging the strike, our protagonist makes his last move and hits the eye of Fenrir with an arrow, calling it the real weapon. With this attack, the weight of 1,000 gyun shifts to the Fenrir at the point of impact, which results in the beast getting stuck deeper into the ground. As the tables turn, it appears even more shocking to the host, who looks at the screen in disbelief. Later on, our hero jumps into the hole where Fenrir lies and sits on its head. The host yells in disbelief since he cannot understand how that bow worked on the werewolf. Seeing this, the audience begins to ask for the 1,000-gun bow so they can buy it. Apologizing to them, Hyun-soo states that after seeing the power of this weapon, the big bro has changed his mind and is not selling it. The chat pleads with our boy, asking him to tell the big bro to sell it, promising to become his fans in return. Jumping out of the hole, our hero again apologizes to the audience for not selling. Holding the 1,000-gun bow in his hand, Hyun-soo offers the archers a deal. the big bro will accept a crafting request from one of them. He orders them to send a message to the blacksmith shop of Hyun-soo to get selected. Then the screen vanishes as he thanks the audience for watching his live. Later, our protagonist goes back to his rented shop, talking about how the broadcast turned out really well. Moreover, during the competition, he gained legendary materials and experience. As he looks at his level on the system, it has increased to 100 with an HP level of 82%. The system notifies our hero that he is now eligible to build a guild. Thinking about Kim Jahan and Nell, our protagonist is happy because he now has the authority to invite them to his guild. He also thinks of bringing Banya as a vassal. Now that it is time to set the name of the guild, our boy begins to think about it. Since he wishes for a bright future with this guild, he names it Gwangmyeong. Once the procedure is finished, the system notifies our hero on becoming a guild master and receiving the title of Lord's Grace. After that, he receives a notification of Nell and Bark joining his guild. Bark praises Hyun-soo for giving the guild a good name, and Nell agrees. Following this, Nell begins to search for a base of operations, and our hero encourages her. On a call, Nell asks our protagonist what he is going to do during this time. Hyun-soo answers that he is going to fulfill the promise he made with Barad. This appears intriguing to Nell, so she questions him. Our boy explains that Barad asked to look for him after establishing the guild. At the same time, he is also going to the Goyard Kingdom. On the other hand, a man serving His Majesty of the Goyard Kingdom suggests he should not allow Hyun-soo to enter their territory. The Majesty states that he is not someone who hastily makes decisions, so there is no need to worry, all while he pets his werewolf sitting beside him. Later on, our protagonist receives a call from the broadcast station. The man on the other side shows his appreciation for the recent broadcast, which blew up, and expresses interest in inviting him back again. Furthermore, the station has received 37 million won. The man claims that after the deduction of entry fees, our boy will receive a sum of 25 million won. They will also include prize money of 10 million won since Hyun-soo has set a new record. Regarding blacksmith Hyun, the man questions the payment details. Our hero explains that he will give the blacksmith the money himself, so they do not have to worry about it. After that, both say goodbye to each other and end the call. Holding a sandwich in his hand, Hyun-soo looks at his phone and stands in utter disbelief at receiving 25 million won. Moreover, he receives a message that his gauntlets just sold to a couple. Counting the money from the broadcast and the sale of the gauntlets, our boy cannot believe he has gained a total sum of 100 million won. Following this, he texts his manager Nell to log in while he does the same. After some time, our protagonist appears in the intermediate zone town square. Standing among the crowd, he hears Nell, who comes running toward him and shouting his name. She reports that Black Anvil has offered a blank check to recruit him, while Hyun's Forge has increased to around 400,000 subscribers. Furthermore, they have reached 49th place in the Korean blacksmith rankings. Shaking our boy hard in her excitement, she questions whether Hyun-soo is even listening to her. Nervously laughing, our protagonist states that the credit goes to her since she is the one who led them. Nell realizes she is getting overexcited and apologizes, then questions his preparation since she knows he is going to the Goyard Kingdom. Assuring her, Hyun-soo explains that he has made thorough preparations. He describes how he created new items using the damaged equipment he received earlier, which might help him gain trust during the meeting with Barad. Even Nell agrees with the plan and discusses the hidden quest. Hearing this, our hero sincerely praises her for always taking care of him. At his words, she begins to blush and looks at the face of our protagonist for a while without saying anything. This makes Hyun-soo wonder if there is something on his face, and though Nell is embarrassed, she denies it immediately. Moving on, she reports that she still has not found a base of operations for the guild, but will try her best and report back once she finds one. With a gentle smile, our boy thanks her for her help. Meanwhile, in the Goyard Kingdom, Barad is petting one of his wolves. Marquis Valo, the true power of the Goyard Kingdom, questions if this is his new hobby. Barad answers while looking at the white wolf, explaining they are a gift he received after clearing a dungeon. Hearing this, the Marquis again congratulates His Majesty and begins to discuss the situation regarding allowing Hyun-soo to enter their territory. He argues that our protagonist is an average blacksmith and an outsider. Barad states that Hyun-soo is the reason he is alive today, so the Marquis should not object to his arrival. Although the Marquis is about to speak on the traditions of the kingdom, Barad realizes one of his wolves seems scared. At that moment, a servant reports the arrival of Hyun-soo. The moment our hero enters, the Marquis becomes too stunned to speak after sensing his aura. He remains in disbelief that a mere blacksmith possesses such an aura, while our boy walks toward Barad and greets him. After that, both sit next to each other at a table drinking tea. The white wolf of Barad hides behind his chair while the helmet of our protagonist lies on the table. Looking at the change in our boy, Barad points at the helmet and questions if it is the cause. Praising the Majesty, Hyun-soo explains that this is Fenrir's helmet and cloak. Regarding its abilities, he notes that it not only boosts stats, but also grants the dignity of a wolf. Intrigued, Barad questions if he made it. Staying humble, our protagonist explains that he simply repaired it without making many changes. Moving to the side and looking at the wolf behind Barad, which looks terrified, our hero notes that the equipment seems to be working properly. As Barad comforts his wolf, Hyun-soo questions why he was summoned. Looking out of the window, Barad begins to tell our boy about Balas, a kingdom of blacksmiths. Though the people there once lived with joy, the place is now in major chaos. This instability is affecting neighboring territories and causing conflicts among the nobles. Barad explains that although he sent many talented people to recover Balas, they all ran away without explaining why. Barad claims that after meeting our boy and seeing the sword he crafted, he became confident that our hero has the capability to help Balas. The system displays all the information about this quest, and Hyun-soo begins to think about it, showing that he still has second thoughts. He finally admits that he has no experience in reconstructing a village. As Barad stares at him blankly, our protagonist adds that he is nevertheless eager to help the blacksmiths and their village. At night, our boy stands in the territory of Balas along with Nell and Kim Ji-han. Nell remarks on how the shops are closed, even though blacksmiths live there. Looking around, Ji-han finds no people, which appears suspicious to him. Even Hyun-soo thinks things look worse than expected. Noticing a place with lights on, Nell suggests going there. They enter the building, which is covered in spider webs, and call out to see if anyone lives there. Just as they are about to be certain it is empty, they hear a noise from behind a door. The three of them stare at the door as an old man appears, coughing and holding a lantern in his hand. The aged and frail man questions their identity and the reason for them being there. Our hero apologizes to the old man for entering his house without permission and explains that Prince Barad sent them to this village. The old man's next question is whether he is from the Enroll Merchant Guild. Though Hyun-soo is not familiar with this guild, he shows the official decree of Barad to him. From the other side, it is silent for a while, so our protagonist pushes the decree towards the door, saying that they can wait for his answer. After that, the three of them begin to wait for him while standing a little away from the door. A moment later, the man walks out of the door as all his suspicions get clear. The old man claims that something like this hasn't happened in a while here. Moving forward, he introduces himself as Para, who was the Lord's personal blacksmith. Talking about the village, Hyun-soo questions the reason behind no fire being here since it is night. Para begins to explain that it all started after the arrival of the Enroll Merchant Guild in this village. Our boy wonders if he is talking about the same guild which he mentioned some moments ago. Para claims it to be a long story and questions if they still want to hear it. The conversation shifts to the time when it all happened. When the Enroll Merchant Guild found out about the blacksmiths living here, they came with plenty of expensive items as gifts. Since the territory lord wanted to promote the weapons and the head merchant offered open trade, she accepted it wholeheartedly. After that moment, they settled in this village. But then one day, during a meal with the territory lord, the head merchant proposed a bet to her. Since the lord of this village was quite innocent, she accepted it not knowing that the results would destroy them. The moment she lost the bet, she lost all her authority too, and an era of the Enroll Merchant Guild started. Due to this, some merchants tried to escape, and for those who got caught, the head merchant made them their slaves. Hearing the story, Nell thinks they are very cruel. Looking at the pictures, Hyun-soo thinks to himself that there is no way to forgive them due to their cruelty towards these people. After hearing it, Hyun-soo questions if Para also worked under this guild. Para answers that he is an escapee because when the Lord lost everything, she made him run away with a promise that one day he would definitely take it back and help the blacksmiths too. Meanwhile, Kim Ji-han speaks up because he thinks that Para has the ability to win back the wager since the Lord trusted him. Looking down, the old man remains silent for a while, and then begins to talk about Boksu, an examiner of the Enroll Merchant Guild, whose personality is disgraceful, but who is truly skillful, so he will catch him someday. Standing up from the chair while fear takes over his face, Para claims that he is too tired to run away from them anymore. Walking away, he thanks them for listening to him, and also suggests going away before the Enroll Merchant Guild comes here. Our hero stands up and while putting his hand on his heart out of respect, shows his eagerness to help him. Furthermore, he states that he is also one of them, a blacksmith, so he cannot bear their suffering. Para appreciates our boy but rejects it. As he begins to talk about other blacksmiths who came here before him, he gets interrupted by the loud voice of the door. At this moment, Boksu barges into the house and, looking at Para, gets excited since he has been looking for him for a long time. As he walks towards Para, the old man falls on the floor while Boksu forces him to accept their wager. Taking out his sword, Boksu places it on his neck and declares that otherwise, he will kill him. At this moment, his attention moves towards our protagonist and his fellows, and he questions whether it is Para's new crew. Taking out the system interface, Boksu shows the structure of the blacksmith shop which he wants to create, and he is also confident that he is capable of crafting weapons with his knowledge and experience. Nell and Kim Ji-han yell at Boksu, saying that he cannot do this. Jihan checks the level, which shows that Para is too far behind Boksu. After that, Boksu challenges Para to defeat him because that is his only way to survive. As the assessment begins, Boksu only writes one condition, that the loser must fulfill the terms, and asks Para to write his conditions too. Terrified and hopeless, Para makes the condition of giving the wager back to the territory lord and the blacksmiths. Moving on, Boksu begins to yell at him since he spent a lot of time finding Para. Then he yells at the old man to pick up his hammer with the bet that the winner will get the wager. As Para is about to enter the gaming field, our protagonist stops him by his arm, but Para thanks our hero and goes inside the box where he is going to make a sword. Though he is terrified, he is also determined to make the best sword. Later on, he looks at Boksu's sword, which is no doubt a real masterpiece, so Para can see his defeat right in front of his eyes. Losing his hope, he is getting terrified for his death. But then the picture of his place and the Lord comes to his mind while our boy begins to encourage him from the outside. Our protagonist also advises him about keeping the temperature high while looking at the color of the flame, because with the rise of the temperature, his chances of winning will increase too. At this moment, the system notifies Para that he is receiving help from a master blacksmith, which it is referring to as Hyun-soo. Para becomes quite shocked as he realizes it. On the other side of the screen, one of the researchers yells at Hyun-soo for helping Para. He claims that he has given all his effort to design the NPC Boksu, but now the old man is getting help from our protagonist. Hearing this, a female researcher questions him about Boksu because she does not think of the NPC this highly. The researcher, filled with anxiety, tells her that he is the continent's future 11th legend. Moreover, this researcher is planning to make him a villain because having only good legends on the continent does not appear quite appealing. The female researcher turns towards the lead researcher, Leader Kim, and questions if there is any problem with this. Thinking about it, he advises the team to watch them for the moment. Meanwhile, our protagonist keeps encouraging Para, helping him in creating the sword by ensuring the pressure remains even while polishing the blade. After working on the sword for a while, both blacksmiths stand in front of each other with their completed weapons. The system announces that Para has made an artifact which is quite close to a legend. Hearing this, both Nell and Jihan get shocked, while Jihan also thinks that Para was only capable of doing it with the help of Hyun-soo. Otherwise, Boksu is quite skillful. As the system announces the victory of Para since he surpassed Boksu, the examiner gets completely shocked. Admiring the sword, the old man cannot believe that he was able to create such a thing before his death. Since the old man won this evaluation, it means that the Lord has regained her territory, and the freedom of all the blacksmiths is restored. Throwing his sword on the floor, Boksu admits his defeat. But then, walking towards our boy and taking out his original sword, he challenges him for an evaluation. As for our protagonist, he seems quite confused about it. On the other hand, the researchers are getting anxious about why Boksu is doing this. Running towards Leader Kim, the researcher inquires what might happen because he certainly knows that Boksu is not as good compared to our hero. Leader Kim denies any chance of success because there is no way that Boksu can win against the god of blacksmiths. Hearing this, the researcher questions if Hyun-soo would let him go, but Leader Kim and the female researcher think that he would never do something like this. Now looking at the screen, the researcher appears quite worried for Boksu. Meanwhile, Leader Kim claims that Hyun-soo is not a person whom they can judge easily, thus Boksu should not have declared this challenge. As Boksu challenges our boy while his sword is in his hand, Hyun-soo thinks to himself that this sword is quite good. Moving on, Boksu gives his condition, which is cutting off the arm of our protagonist, and in return, Hyun-soo demands his sword as a winning condition while he thinks to himself that he must teach Boksu a lesson. This time, the evaluation is based on speed crafting, which means that they will do the crafting within a few seconds using their speed, knowledge, and experience. Actually, Boksu is looking down at Hyun-soo and thinks that he must not be familiar with it. As the evaluation begins, both begin to work on their crafting while Boksu thinks that he can definitely win this time because he is underestimating our hero. At this moment, a bright light coming from the side of our hero blurs out his eyes. The moment it fades away, the system announces the completion of the legendary Guardian Sword, while Boksu could only make a unique grade sword right after our boy. Since he again lost the evaluation, he has lost his authority over his sword too. The system therefore transfers it from the hand of Boksu to the hand of Hyun-soo. Now he is looking at our boy in anger while Hyun-soo claims that he cannot overpower anyone from now on. Then he begins to walk toward Boksu, saying that he must pay for his crimes while Boksu himself falls on the floor. Putting the sword on Boksu, our hero orders him to spit out all his crimes. Terrified and a bit angry, he begins explaining that he demanded a tax of 70% from the blacksmiths, and those who could not pay their taxes, he made them slaves. Hearing this, Hyun-soo questions if he imprisoned the Lord too. To answer him, Boksu claims that he did this in order to gain profit. Meanwhile, Para yells that whatever he did was unfair to them. Moving forward, Hyun-soo inquires about the wealth, which Boksu claims that he hid in the basement of the guild building. After hearing this, our protagonist questions if he is hiding anything else, to which Boksu answers that there is nothing. But then he picks up the sword lying beside him, claiming that he cannot lose like this, and attacks our hero. Seeing this, Hyun-soo makes an attack which results in the sword flying out of the hand of Boksu. Moving on, our hero punches him right in the face. After that, he picks up his sword and cuts off his right arm. As the blood drips out of his shoulder, Hyun-soo states that it is not much compared to his crimes, but he is not someone who can decide his fate. After that, he approaches Para and apologizes to him for the situation, and also assures him that Boksu will never be able to treat him like this again. He asks Para to suggest the punishment for Boksu, but he thinks of asking the Lord who is still in the prison. While Jihan and Nell are busy trying to tie up Boksu, who keeps attempting to run away, Hyun-soo discusses the whereabouts of the Lord with Para. The old man states that she must be kept inside the castle, so our hero respectfully asks him to bring her there so they can finally decide on a punishment. Hearing this, Para begins to thank our protagonist repeatedly for his intervention. Meanwhile, inside the castle, the Lord sits alone in the prison with her head down between her knees. Although she hears a noise, she tells herself that no one can possibly come there. At this moment, Para appears in front of her cell and begins to open the lock. Looking at him, the Lord becomes confused and tells him to run away immediately because she is terrified of what Boksu might do. As he successfully opens the lock, he asks her to come with him. Walking out, she questions what is happening, and Para answers that a stranger has saved them all. As the Lord listens in confusion, he further explains how that stranger won an evaluation against Boksu. Hearing this, the Lord stops walking because she finds it impossible to believe that a stranger actually defeated him. Para reassures her that everything he said is true, and that all she needs to do now is punish that cruel man. He describes the stranger who helped them as a real blacksmith. The Lord still finds the situation hard to believe, but the old man insists she see it for herself. After thinking for a while, she finally decides to give it a chance. After some time, both finally reach the place where our hero and the others are waiting. As she opens the door, she cannot believe her eyes as she sees Boksu on the floor, tied with ropes. Since she is covering herself with a cloak, our protagonist questions if she is the Lord. Taking the cloak off her face, she introduces herself as Bellin, the Lord of the Ballast Territory. She expresses her disbelief that Hyun-soo actually caught him in this manner. Our boy answers that he had asked Para to punish Boksu, but the old man wanted the Lord to do it herself, which is why he called for her. After some thinking, Bellin asks to take the cloth out of the mouth of Boksu so she can speak with him. The moment Jihan removes it, Boksu yells out a scream, calling them all crazy. The Lord states that she once trusted him, but in return, he imprisoned and betrayed her. She declares that while she can bear what he did to her personally, she will never tolerate the cruelty he showed to her people. Therefore, she orders Para to seize all the assets of Boksu and release every one of the blacksmiths immediately. Meanwhile, Boksu continues yelling and shouting, claiming to be lord of everyone. At this moment, Bellin punishes him by locking him in the dungeon forever. Upon hearing this, Boksu screams even louder, protesting that she shouldn't do this to him. Hyun-soo's companion takes him to the castle to be confined, though Boksu keeps screaming for freedom. Once he is gone, Hyun-soo turns towards the Lord, declaring that he can explain all the details now. After our boy finishes telling the whole story, the Lord proceeds to stand up from her chair. The moment Hyun-soo inquires about the reason behind it, Lord Bellin bows to express her gratitude. As tears roll down her eyes, she states that she should have protected her people herself and acted a little wiser so things wouldn't turn out like this. Seeing her like this, Para reaches out, assuring her that Boksu is the one in the wrong with ill intentions. He thinks she did her best for Ballas's people, and in return, the Lord thanks him. After that, our protagonist introduces himself as the blacksmith Hyun, along with his manager, blacksmith Nell. As the scene proceeds, the Lord again bows in front of them, thanking them for saving her territory. Meanwhile, our hero and Nell embarrassedly try to make her get up, saying they did what they had to do. After that, she apologizes for the misunderstanding they couldn't comprehend. Lord Bellin explains that Para told her about a stranger who helped them, but she didn't believe him. She explains she has been taught since childhood that strangers only use them for their own benefits. But after seeing Hyun-soo and his companions, she realized that good outsiders also exist. After that, she again thanks them for their help. Seeing her like this, Hyun-soo thinks that even though he came here due to Barad, it is rather good that he did come, because he was able to help Ballas Valley and the blacksmiths. The Lord, after talking with Para, announces that she will give them half of Boksu's fortune as a reward, but our protagonist rejects it. Instead, he wants the Lord to use it for the Ballas people. He claims it would be more than enough for him to see this territory regain its past glory, which truly shocks the Lord. Hearing this, Para also thanks our hero for everything. Since Hyun-soo helped the Lord and her people find relief from Boksu, our hero receives a message regarding the activation of the Lord's grace. This unique title is granted by someone who feels a deep sense of gratitude and wishes to show respect, or even become a vessel for the recipient. Looking at Para and the Lord, our boy is initially confused about who bestowed the title upon him. On the other side of the screen, a female researcher monitors the situation alongside leader Kim. The female researcher suspects Para is the source, but leader Kim thinks otherwise. He notes that the conditions for Para to become a vassal differ from those of minor Banya, who is also a vassal to Hyun-soo. Later on, he asks the researcher to think about it further. After reflecting for a while, she realizes the conditions are indeed different because Para is the Lord's vassal. Leader Kim claims that Para is not allowed to pledge loyalty to someone else. Otherwise, it would be considered a serious crime. Although the researcher thinks the same logic applies to Lord Bellin, the leader explains the splitting of the empire into noble and imperial factions, which resulted in the splitting of forces. This means Bellin is the one who has just sworn her loyalty to Hyun-soo. The scene shifts to Lord Bellin standing in front of our protagonist. She officially announces her loyalty to him. Initially, Hyun-soo thought Para had activated the grace, so it is confusing to see a lord doing this instead. He gestures to Nell, asking her what is happening, but it seems she is just as confused as our hero. Since the lord is still bowing in front of our boy, he walks towards her to understand what she means by that gesture. The lord states she felt his genuine desire to help her people, but then Hyun-soo reaches out his hand, asking her to stand up first so they can talk about it. Holding his hand, Lord Bellin stands up while saying that although he is an outsider to them, she is sure he will reach even higher places. This is the sole reason she decided to stand with him. Bellin shows her desire to grow along with our protagonist. Meanwhile, Nell stands behind Hyun-soo, poking him as a gesture to accept the offer. Our boy continues to bow towards her as he accepts her. Bellin first shows her appreciation to our hero and proceeds to ask another question, wondering what he is planning to do since he is already here. Putting his hand on his heart, our boy states he wants to teach the blacksmiths, although deep down he knows he is doing this to complete Barad's quest. Hearing this, Bellin continues to thank our hero, which makes him feel a bit embarrassed. Now the Lord and Para are talking with each other while Hyun-soo thinks about how he will be able to complete the quest since the Lord has become his vassal. This also means he will receive the taxes, so his priority is now improving the skills of the blacksmiths so he can sell their weapons to the users. He thinks about securing the funds, but out of excitement, he says it loudly. Everyone begins to look at him with curious eyes, which makes our protagonist quite embarrassed. The next day, all the blacksmiths are asked to gather at a place by the Lord. All of them seem confused, wondering why they were summoned there. As everyone sits in their chairs, Hyun-soo appears in front of them. He first greets them and then explains his purpose, which involves him teaching them. Since most of the blacksmiths are older than our hero, they begin to gossip that he is just a kid with not much knowledge. It seems they are underestimating our boy and cannot digest the fact that an outsider is going to teach them. Ignoring them, our hero continues to demonstrate his work in front of them. Some of them do not pay much attention, thinking it is just a waste of time. But then an older blacksmith present there suggests they give him a chance, to which everyone agrees. The day has fallen into night, but Hyun-soo is still working without a break, which shocks everyone in the room. As they are thinking of stopping him, our protagonist finally stops himself while cleaning the epic-grade sword in his hand. Seeing this, a blacksmith walks towards our hero and asks if he can teach him. Our boy explains that one must strike the sword with constant force and angle because this is as important as the shaping. He further explains that heating the sword in the fire is quite important because otherwise the sword will break easily. Now all the blacksmiths have gathered around our hero, asking different questions and apologizing for what they said earlier. One of them asks if he will teach them something other than swords, and in answer, Hyun-soo agrees. 2 weeks have passed and all the blacksmiths seem quite tired by the past week's struggles. Moving on, our protagonist announces that their training has ended. Hearing this, everyone gets really excited, so our hero questions if they did not like his teachings. The blacksmiths explain that it was simply rather exhausting for them. Afterwards, everyone proceeds to apologize to our boy for doubting him earlier because he taught them a lot, and so Hyun-soo thanks them in return. He also thanks them for their hard work and advises them to work hard from now on. While shaking their leader's hand, he advises them to sell new weapons and prove that they have changed. After some time, a man appears in Ballas and gets really excited over seeing a sword which he thinks he made out of zletube material. Picking it up, he cannot believe that the sword is a rare grade one. Upon realizing the quality, he proceeds to ask about the price of the sword. When the shop owner says its price is gold, a visible shock appears on the man's face. Out of disbelief, the man questions the reason behind selling such swords so cheaply. The blacksmith explains that these types of swords are considered just average in their place. The outsider cannot believe that this blade is merely an average grade item. Laughing about it, the blacksmith explains that a man helped them to make such high-quality swords, referring to Hyun-soo. Hearing this, the outsider inquires about the whereabouts of that man. The blacksmith doesn't tell him, claiming it would be rather rude to reveal his location without permission. Strangely, this makes the outsider become even more curious about our hero, as he thinks maybe our protagonist is just a common NPC. He proceeds to check other shops but finds high-quality weapons all around. He even finds epic-grade items in a normal blacksmith shop, which is even more shocking for him. The outsider thinks of becoming viral by using this as an opportunity and proceeds to start a live stream. He first introduces himself by saying that he is standing in the Ballas Valley. The people watching his stream inquire about him coming live at this time, so the streamer explains he wants to show them something really amazing while boasting that they should really visit this place. The scene shifts to our boy, who just woke up from his sleep since he had not been able to sleep for 2 weeks. He then proceeds to check the time because he has a meeting with Ji-hoon. At this instance, he receives a call from Nell, who begins to shout right after he picks up, telling him he should check the community boards. Since Hyun-soo does not know what she is talking about, he asks her to explain. Nell tells him about a famous streamer who visited the Balas Valley and talked about the artifacts on his stream. Soon that stream went viral, and now a lot of people are rushing toward Balas while others are asking about the man behind these events. Moreover, even the blacksmiths who had left the Balas Valley are now returning. Hearing this, our hero gets really excited as he becomes sure that his quest completion rate is going to be high now. After some time, our protagonist is sitting with Ji-hoon in a restaurant. While Ji-hoon is enjoying the food, Hyun-soo asks about his work, worrying if things are going well. Filling his mouth with food, Ji-hoon advises him to ask the questions one by one. Ji-hoon says that although the work is going well, it seems like things are going to get tough because there is going to be a new quest update. Hearing about it, our hero questions if he has joined any guild. The moment Ji-hoon answers in the negative, our protagonist offers him a spot in his guild. Picking up a glass, Ji-hoon states that even though this idea is good, he is not familiar with all these things and asks for some time to think about it. After hearing this, though our hero seems sad, he has no other option and agrees with Ji-hoon. Looking at his mood, Ji-hoon tries to change it by saying he is not rejecting the offer, but then Hyun-soo pushes meat into his friend's mouth and says they should focus on eating now. Then the scene shifts toward a hospital, in a room where our boy's father is lying unconscious while Hyun-soo sits near him. He talks about his life with his father, telling him about his good friend and comrades, and also about an adult who is like a father figure to him. While holding his father's hand, our protagonist asks his father not to worry anymore since their good days have finally arrived. After that, he proceeds to go back while promising his father that he will come back again. The next day, our hero goes to meet King Barad so he can report his return. As he is kneeling in front of the king, Barad asks him to stand up while inquiring about the task. Our protagonist explains he has completed his task and then proceeds to talk about Boksu, who was ruling over the people of Balas. The king adds that he has heard Hyun-soo drove him out. Later on, he inquires about the development of the territory, which our boy explains has developed by 150%. Hearing this, King Barad gets quite shocked. Hyun-soo further explains he taught a lot of things to the blacksmiths, which then resulted in an increase of visitors in Balas, and that is how they significantly improved. Standing from his chair, Barad praises our hero, and also gives him a prize of 1.5 million gold. Therefore, our protagonist thanks the king. Barad further states that our hero has done more than he expected from him, so he wants to give an additional reward. Meanwhile, our boy seems quite confused about it. Barad announces his wish to set up a personal forge for Hyun-soo within the Goyard kingdom. The system notifies our hero that he now has an opportunity to establish a base in this kingdom. Barad believes that because our protagonist helped the people of Balas to such a great extent, he deserves a permanent place here. However, Hyun-soo tries to deny the offer. This causes Barad to question if the refusal is because their territory is considered rather small. Luckily, Hyun-soo denies this, explaining that he only wishes for the growth of the Balas Valley. King Barad initially struggles to understand this selfless stance, so our hero clarifies his reasoning. If his identity as a master blacksmith is revealed, people will flock to his personal forge instead of visiting Balas. Hearing this, Barad thinks to himself that our boy possesses the true qualities of a monarch. Even though he agrees with the decision, the king tells our protagonist to inform him anytime if he finds a territory he likes. Our boy thanks the king, and Barad then asks about his further plans. Our hero reports that he has a meeting with the Lord of Balas after this. As he prepares to depart, King Barad states that if any missions for Hyun-soo arise in the future, he will send them his way. As our hero walks away, the king reflects privately that he is testing our protagonist to see if he is truly capable of becoming a monarch. As a few days pass, Nell calls our boy to the Freya territory. She asks Hyun-soo to meet at a specific location, and upon reaching it, our protagonist inquires about the reason for the summons. While sitting in a chair, Nell excitedly shouts that this place is going to be their guild's territory. Since Freya is not far from Goyard and the user traffic is high, our hero finds the base quite impressive. Moving on, he mentions what Barad asked him earlier regarding becoming a noble. Hearing this, Nell is visibly shocked. A noble NPC, who isn't a royalty offering such positions, is unheard of. Hyun-soo wonders if it is truly such a rare occurrence. Interestingly, when he went to meet Bellin after seeing the king, she also offered him a noble title. Bellin believes she is not yet eligible to be a full lord, and after seeing him, she realized he should be the one leading her territory. Thus, she begged him to become a noble. Moreover, as the lord of a minor territory who hasn't sworn allegiance to anyone else, she is ready to give all her shares to him. If our boy accepts the shares, he will gain the authority to rule the territory. Hyun-soo wonders if the world wants him to climb even higher through these offers. Nell also thinks it is a unique case, but it seems the Lord has seen the potential in our protagonist and wants him as her noble. Hyun-soo remains silent for a while before pointing at some paperwork to inquire about its contents. Opening the file, Nell reports that it is his first official client, a person named Rizel, who holds the 21st rank. Nell explains that Rizel is a high-ranking player who does not belong to any guild, even though the client has demanded a difficult artifact. Succeeding in its creation would make the reputation of our hero even higher. When our boy asks for the specifics of the artifact, she explains that the client wants an item imbued with a dragon's power. Hearing this, Hyun-soo is quite shocked. On the other hand, Rizel is currently sitting in front of Rowan, the master of the Black Anvil Guild. When Rizel explains the conditions for the artifact, Rowan simply denies the request, stating they haven't seen a dragon in a long time, which makes such a task impossible. Rizel argues that Rowan's guild is supposed to be #1 and capable of creating anything, but Rowan claims the request is outside the boundaries of realism. He hands back the bag of gold, reiterating that it cannot be done. While walking the streets, Rizel wonders if Hyun's forge will even answer him, as they are famous for being unresponsive. He decides to make one last attempt. Just as he is about to send another message, he receives a notification from Hyun's forge asking if he wants to accept their terms, meaning his commission has been accepted. At night, he reaches the meeting place requested by our protagonist. The moment he knocks, Hyun-soo allows him to enter. Hearing the voice, Rizel finds it sounds rather young. As he opens the door, he sees a man standing there, though his face remains hidden in the shadows. Our hero asks him to stay put, while Rizel questions if he is just a staff member since he cannot see him clearly. Denying this, our boy steps into the moonlight and introduces himself as the blacksmith Hyun. Looking at our protagonist, Rizel realizes he is younger than expected. Moving on, Rizel explains the reason behind meeting him personally, asking if Hyun-soo can truly imbue an artifact with a dragon's spirit. With confidence, our boy accepts the demand, stating he will make it, but a down payment must be made before starting. Apparently, our hero is saying what Nell instructed him to say in order to look professional. Furthermore, he explains to Rizel that this artifact will be quite expensive since he will make use of a dragon in it. Hearing this, Rizel wonders how Hyun-soo will manage it, since even Black Anvil claimed it was rather impossible. However, right now he just wants to get his hands on the artifact for his father. Actually, Rizel's father is in critical condition and wishes to see a dragon. Calling our protagonist his last hope, Rizel claims he wants to witness the manufacturing process of this artifact. At this moment, our boy realizes the true intentions behind the commission. Later, Hyun-soo proceeds to make the sword, calling it God's Urgent Crafting. The moment he reaches the end, a dragon appears in front of them, really shocking Rizel. Once the dragon disappears, our hero questions Rizel if he wants him to finalize the sword, to which Rizel answers yes. An hour earlier, Hyun-soo was discussing Rizel's request with Nell. Our boy seems confused, thinking about the reason behind such a request. Seeing him, Nell shows Rizel's initial request, where he stated it would totally be fine if the artifact's abilities were ordinary because he just wanted a dragon to appear. Moreover, Rizel has been sending hundreds of such requests from time to time, even asking different guild leaders and summoners for a way to see a dragon. Hearing everything, our protagonist realizes the client just wants to see a dragon, but now he wonders why Rizel is so desperate. Even Nell agrees with him. Moreover, a dragon has never appeared in Ares before, which is another problem. While our hero is lost in thought searching for a way, Nell puts another scroll in front of him, claiming they have another option. She explains that during the AJ broadcasting, Hyun-soo promised the audience he would take a limited edition crafting request from an archer. Furthermore, an archer named Ian has been sending requests since then. Looking at the information, our boy remembers this person, as he had bought a gauntlet from him before. Ian requested the most powerful bow, which our protagonist finds rather easy to make, but then he picks up Rizel's request, claiming he wants to do something challenging. Nell already knew Hyun-soo would choose it, so she goes to contact Rizel to tell him about the acceptance. Meanwhile, our hero is still preparing the request while thinking of a way to make an artifact imbued with a dragon, and also thinking of using that sword as a pattern. Now in the present, our boy and Rizel are sitting opposite each other with a sword between them on the table. Hyun-soo explains that he was able to summon the dragon only once since he made this artifact in a hurry and thus needs some refinements. Hearing this, Rizel gives a time period of a week, asking if it is possible for our protagonist to refine the artifact within that time because he needs it urgently. While passing the down payment to our hero, Rizel also claims that money is not a problem. Looking at it for a while, Hyun-soo hands back the money, saying he will take it after the completion of the artifact. Rizel gets confused while our boy promises to do his best. After that, they shake hands. At night, the scene shifts to a hospital room where Rizel is sitting in front of an old man who seems to be his father. The old man says that he is putting his trust in him, so Rizel reassures his father that he just needs to wait a little longer, because soon he will be able to see the dragon. The old man seems quite sick, as his face looks weak and frail. Rizel's father calls him Taesong, but he corrects him by saying his name is Taiha. Apparently, Rizel is his username in the game, while his real name is Taiha. Even after telling his name, his father still calls him Taesong while insisting on seeing a dragon. As he puts his father to sleep, the old man is still murmuring Taesong's name, which seems to be bothering Taiha. Later, while standing in front of the room door, Taiha thinks of someone, saying they haven't talked for a while. In this instance, he receives a call from someone whose name is saved as Big Brother. Apparently, the man who earlier called Taiha is his elder brother, Taisong, who is currently managing Hanseong's group, their father's company. Now Taiha is standing in his brother's room, and Taisong is asking him about the game. Taiha assures his elder brother that he does not have to worry about it. Taisong asks about the dragon, reminding him that he promised to make the dragon appear while in the game, but now months have passed. Taiha insists he is about to make it happen, but his elder brother does not seem to believe him. Seeing this, he yells that he is serious, so Taesong accepts it as his last chance. He also orders Taiha to quit the game if he does not succeed in making a dragon appear for their father. While thinking about our hero who managed to make a dragon appear earlier, Taiha is now confident that he will succeed. The next day, our protagonist is standing in the National Museum, looking at a sword which he restored with his father years ago.